And welcome to what is a tremendous tradition in college football, the Florida-Georgia game. I'm David Steele along with Jim Yarborough. You know, the Gators and the Bulldogs have been playing football right here in the Gator Bowl every year since 1933, with only one exception, that being during World War II. The Bulldogs dominated the decade of the 80s. The Gators came in here ranked number 1 in the nation, Jim, in 1985, and Georgia knocked them off the top spot in the country with a 24-3 win. But the Gators, Jim, feel like that the tide is about ready to turn.
Well, I hope so, David. I've been a loyal Gator for 25 years, and coming into Jacksonville, I've been barked at and bitten and abused so often it really hurts, and maybe today is the Gators' day.
You know, as you look back at recent history, even going back 20, 30 years, you can see how difficult it has been for the Florida Gators to beat the Georgia Bulldogs, even, Jim, when they've been favored.
Here's evidence of the hurt that I've suffered, David. Look, going back to 1950, and in the 70s, 80s, the Gators coming in here with oftentimes superior ball clubs, ranked better than the Dogs, but Georgia comes up with some big victories. A lot of that was a credit to Vince Dooley, a great college football coach who knew how to win.
You know, and the other part of that is the Gators always play, or at least since 1962, have played Auburn the year before, and they're at somewhat of a disadvantage coming off a very emotional game against another conference rival, the Auburn Tigers, the week before. This Florida team comes in with a 7-1 record. The Gators are ranked number 10 in the country. Georgia has struggled. The Bulldogs are 4-4. They've had numerous injuries, and but you know, still, Jim, the Bulldogs win this one today, and it really makes their season.
Well, David, they got a new coach. Ray Goff's in just his second year, and he's an outstanding young coach, but they have had problems on offense and defense. Georgia traditionally runs the football down your throat, but they're not that strong in the running game this year. They got a very young team dominated by freshmen and sophomores, so they've got a lot to prove, and by winning today's ball game, as you mentioned, would be a tremendous victory for them.
As far as weather goes, you never know what you're going to get the first weekend of November here in Jacksonville, and this time we've got rain overnight. We've got high winds this afternoon and rather cool afternoon. Steve Babick, our sideline man, gives us more now on the field conditions and how the weather might affect today's game.
Well, thanks, David. Obviously, the wind and the rain a factor in today's game in this series. I guess the best example I can give you here with the help of the cheerleaders from the University of Florida, the Florida Pom-Pom, you can see the wind a little bit affecting the Pom-Pom, and it's going to affect the passing game. Steve Spurrier said that the rain really didn't bother him so much, but the wind could obviously have some type of effect. You talked about the rain. The field is very soft. It's a good field, good condition, but very soft because of the rain. So we'll watch how the weather does affect this game. Also the kicking game. Watch the punting and the kickoffs because, again, with that wind swirling up top, it's going to affect some of the balls. So we'll keep a monitor on that during the game and see how that comes into play. Let's go back up to Jim and David.
All right, Steve, and we hope the Gators will throw footballs and not pom-poms in this afternoon. We'll be back with the opening kick from Jacksonville. The Gators against the Bulldogs in just a moment. The Florida Gators and the Georgia Bulldogs enter the killing field. The Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. Last year, the Georgia Bulldogs won a 17-10 decision over the Florida Gators. And the game was statistically, Jim Yarborough, we talked about this in our pregame opening comments, but statistically, again, it was a situation where the Gators were a superior team, but not on the scoreboard.
David, the Gators had the #1 defense in the nation last year coming into this ball game, and Georgia in the second half ran all over them to win that ball game. Of course, there were some turnovers that were vital as well. This year, the Gators have the #2 defense in the nation. But as Coach Spurrier has said so often, a lot of the stats relating to this year's ball club are really irrelevant because he's brought a different kind of philosophy to Gainesville and to the University of Florida.
It is a cool, breezy afternoon in early November in Jacksonville, Florida. There you see our weather conditions. The wind, as Steve Babick pointed out, could very well be an important factor in this football game, especially the predominantly passing game of Florida football coach Steve Spurrier. I think Coach Spurrier would have preferred rain over wind in a situation like this because that wind is really whipping up down on that playing field. As far as the series record is concerned, a little bit of a discrepancy as to once the season, or rather series record is. There was a game played, back in 1906 or 1904 that Georgia won. The Gators claim that was club football and not true intercollegiate athletics. So the Gators choose not to include that 1904 contest, whereas, of course, the victorious Bulldogs from 1904 would like to include it. Any way you look at it, though, the Bulldogs have held a definite edge throughout this series.
2-to-1 ratio wins to losses against the Florida Gators. As we look at the Bulldogs, in a rather mediocre season for them, 4-4 at this point in the season. Early season loss at LSU, and then Clemson really pounded them 34-3, which was their biggest disappointing loss of the year.
As far as the Florida Gators, coming in at 7-1, ranked number 10 in the country. The only blemish, that aberration in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Second half, too. The first half was a decent ball game.
Gators and Bulldogs assembled at the Gator Bowl. 40,000 fans wearing the orange and blue of Florida, 40,000 wearing the red and black of the University of Georgia. And there are few contests in athletics like this one in any sport.
Well, they say the colors red and orange clash, and nowhere is that more evident than Jacksonville, Florida in November.
The wind blew the ball off the tee, and John Casey will have to tee it up again. There is Florida head coach Steve Spurrier, 7-1 in his initial season as head coach of the Florida Gators. Steve is 27-14-1 overall, including his years at Duke University. Ray Goff, the second-year man at the University of Georgia, quarterbacked the Bulldogs to the Southeastern Conference Championship in his senior year of 1976.
Now, he was player of the year in the conference that year.
John Casey kicks it away, and it is going to be Harrison Houston with the football at about the 10-yard line. Houston to the 36. Andre Washington made the tackle. And here is the Florida offense, led by the outstanding quarterback Shane Matthews. McClendon has reclaimed the starting nod at tailback over Eric Rett, and an excellent group of receivers. Tight end Kirkpatrick leads the way with 34 receptions. The offensive line, a group that gets better and better each week of this season, anchored by Cal Dixon, the junior center. Willie McClendon is driven down by a horde of Bulldog tacklers. And let's take a look at that University of Georgia defense. The front line, a very young, very inexperienced group. Eric Coney, only a 225-pound tackle. He's moved from the outside linebacking spot. Mike Steele, a solid player there at nose guard. No relation, by the way. The linebackers, that senior Morris Lewis, an outstanding player. And the secondary, perhaps the strength of this defensive football team.
Gators came out with two tight ends on their first running effort. Now they've got pro set formation.
McClendon runs it up the middle. And it looks like picked up yardage out to about the 41-yard line. They're going to still have third and about 5. Dwayne Simmons and Morris Lewis, the linebackers, made the tackle for Georgia. Football team just absolutely decimated by injuries and academic woes. McClendon and Rett, quite a 1-2 punch at the tailback position all season long for the Florida Gators. Matthews with good protection. Throws on the run, and it will be a first down as the ball is caught. And out of bounds goes Trey Everett. Mitch Davis made the tackle. Matthews had all the time in the world to find Everett open.
And one reason that he's been so successful all year, as we look at his 1,900 yards in total offense, he leads the Southeastern Conference, is because he has been getting more protection from that offensive line. On that occasion, the Gators split the tight end out, had 4 wide receivers available to Matthews, and he had plenty of time to pick up the safety valve for the first down.
Georgia rushed only 3 on that down as well. Here's the play action, and the pass intended for the tight end Kirkpatrick, who cannot make the catch at about the 37-yard line of Georgia.
And he was there on a bit of a post route behind the linebackers in front of the safeties. Georgia in a deep zone right there. The receiver was open, but Kirkpatrick couldn't come up with a diving catch. Gators looking to take advantage, David, of this tremendous field position on their first possession of the ball game.
Matthews had a big week last week against the Auburn Tigers. Ernie Mills at the 44-yard line of Georgia. Great cutback, and Mills is inside the 25 to the 24-yard line of the Bulldogs. Linebacker Dwayne Simmons and Al Jackson in on the tackle.
Excuse me, David. Al Jackson, the defensive back, gets juked by Mills, who's wide open in the short flat out there. Look at that little move he made on Jackson right there. Picked up an extra 10 yards. But Georgia playing real soft in the secondary right now, opening up those short and intermediate routes to the Gator wide receivers.
Mills, the converted defensive back, down of Dunellen. Gators will pass on first down. Tight end Kirkpatrick to the 18-yard line of Georgia. Morris Lewis, the linebacker, on the coverage. A good yardage on first down. The play picks up about 7.
Georgia shoots an inside linebacker here, but McClendon does a great job of picking him up. And then Kirkpatrick is dragging in an intermediate area right there, picking up about 7 or 8 yards.
Kirkpatrick enjoying a fantastic senior year.
Big numbers for a tight end in anybody's offense, 34 receptions.
McClendon running short side of the field, and he is really drilled at the 15. And Georgia says they got a fumble, and they did. The ball came out of there, and the Bulldogs, Eric Coney, recovered the football. Greg Jackson, a linebacker, made the hit that shook it loose from Willie McClendon, who has been fumble prone throughout his career.
Here's your pitch to McClendon, who's being led by his fullback McNabb. He cuts back and looks like he got twisted, and there is the ball loose on the ground. He was twisted as they were making the tackle, but Willie McClendon coughs the ball up in his hometown of Jacksonville, deep in Bulldog territory. Here's that Bulldog offense, David.
Those players highlighted in white were named starters late in the week. Quarterback Talley throwing over the middle, intended for Hummings. The pass is incomplete. Gators had all kinds of defenders in the area. Will White and Richard Fain, along with Fee Bartley, big number 44, who had the tremendous game last week against Auburn. There's the front four for the Florida Gators. All-American Huey Richardson. The linebackers, Bartley, Falk, and Odom, a solid group there. And this entire defense has done a tremendous job. Will White has come on like gangbusters in his sophomore season. Fullback Alfonso Ellis fumbled the football, and it looks like Georgia may have returned the favor. The Gators have recovered at the 17-yard line of Georgia.
Ellis was simply stripped of the ball at the line of scrimmage, as you see Tim Paulk celebrating right there. Let's see. There's Culpepper, Mike Brandon, and then it's Tim Paulk and Jerry Odom, the inside linebackers.
I think Paulk
and Odom coming up with the ball.
There's Tim Paulk.
Aggressive defense will turn that ball over on occasion, and we saw 2 examples back-to-back. Georgia first gets the turnover, then they return the favor, as you mentioned, to the Gators.
Matthews has McNabb, the fullback, over the middle. He took what the Georgia defense gave him, which puts the Gators at the 9-yard line. The Gators inside their opponent's 10-yard line. They've been there 26 times, and they've scored 24 of the 26 times.
David, one of the strengths of this Gator offense is they get the ball to the backs when they throw the football, as well as to the tight end and wide receivers. They've got 5 or 6 choices on every play. Puts a lot of burden on a defense, especially when you're backed up against your own end zone.
Willie McClendon high-stepping across the 5. McClendon is knocked down at the 3-yard line of Georgia by Chuck Carswell, and the Gators will have a first and goal, but there is a yellow flag on the field on the far side as we take another look.
Carswell does in fact make a touchdown saving tackle right there as McClendon dives across the 2 or 3 yard line.
In the neutral zone, the penalty is declined for the first down.
Georgia offside.
What a place to have a first down, huh? Inside your opponent's 2-yard line.
The Gators have scored touchdowns 21 times, and the 26 times they've been inside their opponent's 10. And they've got a golden opportunity to tack on 6 here early against Georgia. McNabb and McClendon in the backfield. McClendon bolts in for the score.
McNabb, the fullback. Watch the lead block by the fullback. And look at Chris Bromley, number 56, making the turnout block there. A gaping hole at the line of scrimmage. Great blocking by the offensive line with support from the Gator fullback, McNabb.
Willie McClendon scored a lot of touchdowns as a high school star at University Christian High here in Jacksonville. And he just ran in for his 7th touchdown of the year. And his 12th career touchdown for the Florida Gators, who have jumped on top of Georgia 7-0 with 11:26 to play in the first quarter. His telecasts have been granted to Sports Channel Florida by the University of Florida solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the program without the express written consent of Sports Channel Florida is prohibited.
David, what a player this Andre Hastings is, number 1, who Georgia has deep back to return the kickoff. He's 6'3", 180, lightning speed. Just one of the finest freshmen in the country.
He ran one back a couple of weeks ago, 89 yards against the Kentucky Wildcats. Ryan Rulin kicks it away, and this is Alfonso Ellis, the man, it's not. It's number 37, not 33. Out to the 37-yard line. That is Brian Cleveland, a converted running back, now a defensive back for the Georgia Bulldogs. And the Bulldogs will have the football for the second time this afternoon at their 31-yard line. A little better field position than they enjoyed in their first possession.
Now, Gators continue to kick the ball short on kickoffs and gives the opponent outstanding field position as Georgia's just outside their own 30-yard line.
Talley is hit from behind and driven to the turf at the 24-yard line. Number 99, Tim Paulk, with the quarterback sack.
David, we're seeing a difference in philosophy. The Gator defense is attacking. They're blitzing. They're sending inside linebackers. We saw Georgia earlier playing a soft, vanilla, umbrella-type defense. Look at look at the inside linebacker Paulk here, right on Talley before he can even focus downfield on an outside receiver.
Georgia comes with 2 receivers to the left and 1 to the right on second down and long. Talley, a short drop. The pass is caught by Hummings, and Sean Hummings is out to the 36-yard line. Fee Bartley makes the tackle.
One reason that you might attack on defense is when you think you have superior athletes, and Paulk on that occasion was one-on-one and did a nice job on coverage, but looks like Jerry Odom's down with an injury.
Florida Gator trainer Chris Patrick now taking a look, and let's see if we can figure out where Jerry Odom went down.
Well, I think he was shooting the gap along with Tim Paulk, and that left outside linebacker Fee Bartley all by himself in coverage here. But Bartley has that athletic talent that you don't mind him being one-on-one. He's got great speed. He's a big hitter. And Georgia did make the completion, but they're still well short of a first down. And I think maybe one of those big offensive linemen unloaded on Odom as he was blitzing inside.
Well, here's a guy that you'll have to do more than just hit hard to keep him out for very long. He's just about as tough as they get in college football. It's a guy that really probably too slow and not big enough to play college football. Wears number 57 like middle linebacker from earlier in the 80s by the name of Scott Armstrong, who was much the same way.
I don't think Odom's really 5'10". They have him listed at 5'10", but Georgia's out facing a 3rd and 5 or 6.
Carlton Miles is checked in at that linebacker position in place of Jerry Odom. Talley, another short drop, and the pass is intercepted. Tim Paulk may score. The Gators have jumped out 13-0. Still with 10:05 to play in the first quarter.
Talley's going to hit Sean Hummings, and he's going to come up with the reception, but then he's going to lose the handle for a second. Now he's bobbling it. Now he bobbles it right into Tim Paulk's belly. And all of a sudden, Paulk has a caravan of blue jerseys in front of him, and there's not a dog to be seen. Big turnover for the Florida Gators.
That is Paulk's third interception as a Florida Gator. Arden Krzyzewski will try and make it 14-0, and does. We have played less than 5 minutes in the first period from the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, and the Gators are all over the Georgia Bulldogs, 14-0. We'll be back to the Gator Bowl in just a moment. This is Sports Channel. Georgia head coach Ray Goff pacing the sideline early here in Jacksonville, and he has good reason. He may walk a mile over there before this day is finished. The Bulldogs have jumped or fallen behind the Gators 14-0. Let's check with Steve Babbitt.
David, I know the question about who recovered the fumble for the Gators' first touchdown. Half the guys on the sideline say Jerry Odom, the other half say Tony Paulk, so maybe we'll give him each half a fumble. Also, Jerry Odom, he's okay, got banged up, he's back in the game. Let's go back upstairs.
So some good news there is Andre Hastings has to field that ball 5 yards deep in the end zone, and much better job of kicking off that time by Ryan Rulin. The best way to stop a good kick return, just kick it out of the end zone, and that's what Rulin basically did there. There's the scoring summary. Not much to that. Tim Paulk took care of things in about 5.37 seconds. The 36-yard interception return. Odom is back on the field for the Florida defense. Georgia with the football at its own 20-yard line. Bonnie's jumping off sides, and it will be a matter of whether or not the Bulldogs drew the Gators off or if they just jumped over the line. It looked like maybe Jerry Odom jumped through there before the snap.
Yeah, he was guessing rather than anticipating. Coaches always want you to anticipate but not guess, but Jerry jumped across right there, thought he knew the snap count, and gives Georgia 5 yards. You know, these Georgia running backs are rather small. They're, when compared to McClendon and McNabb, who weigh 217, 225, something like this, these Georgia running backs who are equally as productive, Garrison Hurst and Larry Ware, they're just not that big at the tailback position.
Here's a look at freshman Garrison Hurst. Trips out over the 25 to about the 27-yard line. Carlton Miles, the sophomore out of Father Lopez High School in Daytona Beach, number 31, made the tackle with help from James Spear.
Miles had some low back problems last couple of weeks. Wasn't even able to play. I don't think he played much against Auburn.
You know who the coach at Father Lopez is right now, the head coach? Wes Chandler.
Is that right? Great.
Daytona Beach, Father Lopez High. Garrison Hurst does not find the first down yardage. Huey Richardson made sure of that at about the 28. There he is, the preseason All-American out of Atlanta, Georgia, Lakeside High School. And teams have largely stayed away from his side of the football field, but Richardson is able to make a tackle as Hurst runs right into him.
The only Georgia native on this Gator roster, and what a player he is. All-American potential, certainly with the Gators having such a fine year. Huey Richardson will make many first-team All-Americans.
Third down play for the Bulldogs with Talley rolling out. Mark Murray had a shot at him. Talley looking for that first down marker, and it will depend on where they say his knee went down, which did not look like a good spot for the Georgia Bulldogs. It looks like Georgia is going to have to punt the football.
Oh, that's a tough break for the Bulldogs. Down 2 touchdowns deep in their own territory. Talley does a nice job of avoiding Murray, who's broken free from the blocker at the line of scrimmage. He jukes back inside. Let's see where that knee goes down. Yeah, it clearly goes down inside the 30-yard line.
His helmet looked like just right on the stripe, so you know his knee was somewhere back behind there. This is Scott Armstrong back to punt. Gators have put a pretty good rush on. Barber gambled a bit to make the catch and then paid the price as he goes down at the 35-yard line. Timeout on the field with 7:44 to play in the first quarter. The score, the Gators 14, the Bulldogs nothing. And you're watching Gator football on Sports Channel. athletes out of the state of Georgia, but Georgia, like most other schools in the southeastern United States, recruits rather heavily out of the Sunshine State. Gators have the upper hand here early with 7:44 to play in the first quarter. Matthews throws on first down, and Kirkpatrick has the football at the 45, and that will be close to a Florida first down. Al Jackson, a Florida native out of Pine Forest High School, the defensive back for Georgia, made the stop for the Bulldogs.
Georgia continues to rush 4 men, leaving 7 back in pass defense, but Shane Matthews just can find the open receiver. On that occasion, it was his tight end, Kirkpatrick. Look at the total offense already. The Gators over 70 yards total offense. Georgia under 10.
McClendon, who fumbled inside the Georgia 20 on the Gators' first possession, holds on to the football that time and gets about 3 yards out near the 48-yard line. Tackle was made by Torrey Evans and Eric Coney. I told you about how windy it is here, and there you get a little bit of a picture of what it's like up on the photo deck, and that's the best the photographer can do with that kind of wind blowing and moving that platform around up there.
I bet he's glad the wind chill's not around 10. It'd be much more severe.
Again, Matthews finds his favorite target, and Kirkpatrick is in Georgia territory at the 41-yard line. Gators just moving the football at will here in the first period. 6:26 left in the quarter.
Andre Washington, number 48, finally comes up with a tackle on Kirkpatrick.
Kirkpatrick now has 37 receptions.
Yeah, 3 today. Coach Spurrier wanted to get the football to Kirkpatrick 3 to 5 times every ball game. Thought this kid could come up with 50 or 60 passes over the course of a season, and looks like he's well on his way to doing that.
Matthews on the draw to McClendon. The play that worked so well last week against Auburn pays dividends again against the Georgia Bulldogs. McClendon to about the 29.
George Wynn, the defensive back, finally making the tackle on the draw. You know, Coach Spurrier loves this draw. Last week we saw it work so effectively against Auburn. On this occasion, it's Willie McClendon, and Eric Rett last week got over 100 yards rushing from the tailback position, most of it from this sprint draw. McClendon already with 26 yards this afternoon.
Another first down for the Gators. 5:34 left in the first period. Nice cut back to the inside by Willie McClendon. And again, he is stopped by the cornerback, Chris Wilson. Greg Jackson, the linebacker, helped out on the tackle.
Well, you're losing the battle at the line of scrimmage if your defensive backs are making tackle after tackle, and that's what's happening right here to Georgia. The Gators are breaking that line of scrimmage, and the defensive backs are the guys forced to make the tackles.
Matthews changing the call at the line of scrimmage. He gets pressure, and he's got a one-on-one coverage, but cannot connect with Ernie Mills. Carswell was covering man-to-man on the speedy Ernie Mills.
Checked off to Mills on the flag route as he breaks toward that flag to the corner of the end zone right there, but he just overthrew him a bit. You're looking at the top quarterback in the Southeastern Conference in terms of total offense, sophomore Shane Matthews.
Came into this game having thrown already for almost 2,000 yards. McClendon gets the first down and a couple of more to the Georgia 18-yard line with 4:41 now to play in the first quarter.
David, one reason the Gators have had such success on offense all year long is that ability to convert on third down, and here it's third and short, but all season long the Gators have done an excellent job converting those third downs into first downs.
McClendon taking advantage of this improved offensive line. That group up front has come a long way, haven't they, from early in the season?
Yeah, and they had some humble pie at Tennessee, and LSU moved them around a little bit.
Matthews throwing for Kirkpatrick. There is contact, and there is a flag. And Chuck Carswell is called for defensive pass interference.
Excellent call, because Carswell does make contact before the football gets there. We're going to pick that up for you here on the replay as Kirkpatrick runs right at you. And there's the contact from the back. He was on his way down before the football got to him. But as the Gators have 5 or 6 alternatives on every pass route, the defense winds up
penalty is first down at the spot of the foul.
Covering man for man on so many occasions. Even though they start out possibly playing zone, they're just in a difficult position when the Gators are so effective hitting so many different wide receivers and running backs.
And throw in the draw play, which keeps those linebackers back on their heels or leaning forward. This Florida offense is just a tough one to defend. McClendon burrows to about the 1. Looking for his second touchdown of the afternoon, and let's go quickly to the sideline and Steve Bamick. Steve?
Thank you, David. Giving credit where credit is due, Jerry Odom did recover that first fumble for the Gators that led to that first touchdown, and also the play of Tony Rao when he got instituted into the put into the lineup on the offensive line. Coach Spirit talked about his spunk and his spirit. There's no question about it. Tony Rao, he still has some defensive blood in him. He's out there yelling and cheering on his teammates. That adds a lot to the offensive play.
Florida on the doorstep again.
That's the Gator right offensive tackle he's talking about.
McClendon, I don't know if he got in. No indication yet. It looks like Georgia stopped on the goal line. The Bulldogs trying to muster up some enthusiasm, and Carswell, one of their leaders defensively, is trying to juice up the fans down in that corner of the end zone wearing red and black.
McClendon just not able to break that play. And of course, you know, Coach Spurrier's thinking he's got 2 plays right here to punch it across. He's got a 14-0 lead. He's on the 1-inch line. It's 3rd down.
2 tight ends. And Eric Rett, there's a fumble. Eric Rett, the tailback, but the ball never got into his hands as Shane Matthews could not control it. And Georgia has recovered another fumble. That's their second recovery of the afternoon, and they stop a Florida drive inside the 5 this time. The other fumble was recovered around the 10-yard line. So the Gators still up 14-0, but they've missed a couple of other scoring opportunities. Yeah, Mike Jones recovered the fumble for the Bulldogs.
Now this is unbelievable. He doesn't get the ball on the exchange from center on the 1-inch line, and Georgia wrestles it away from the quarterback, who had only one arm with which to grasp the ball. Mike Jones finally gets it.
I remember the Florida-Georgia game of 1983 where the Gators were inside the 10. It seemed like all afternoon long and just kept fumbling and kept getting stopped. Georgia won that one. The pass to Maxwell, and he almost had a very big play. Will White gambled for the interception. If Maxwell had not stepped out of bounds there at the 25, he was going to be running for a long time, Jim.
Yeah, Will White did gamble, as you mentioned, and Kevin Maxwell is sprinting down the sideline. This is a sprint out by Talley, and he's looking for Maxwell, who's sprinting straight down the sideline. Will White, who gave up a touchdown last week to Auburn on an attempted interception and let the wide receiver get behind him. Maxwell almost was gone on that occasion.
You put them in the end zone at the other end of the field after recovering a fumble like that inside the 5 and make it a 14-7 game. And that would have really been something. Garrison Hurst, hard-running freshman tailback out of Lincolnton, Georgia, has the Bulldogs out to the 33-34 line.
Well, I mentioned he's not big, but he's very strong, isn't he? Watch Hurst break a couple of tackles right here. That's Richard Fain. He just runs right over him, and then Jerry Odom can't stop him either. Finally stumbles forward for an extra 2 or 3 yards. Young freshman running back.
Some impressive numbers for the true freshman. Second down, and here comes an attempted reverse. Andre Hastings has great speed, but he not going to get too many yards, but enough it looks like for a Georgia Bulldog first down. Their second first down of this drive and their second first down of the game. Steve Bartley made the tackle.
Georgia trying to come up with a big play on the reverse, but Huey Richardson's there initially. Then it's Fee Bartley who's there to help out. Finally, Richard Fain's going to make the tackle. Georgia trying to come up with a big play on the reverse using the outstanding talent Andre Hastings. Got the first down.
The Bulldogs have taken it from inside their own 5 with back-to-back first downs. Talley with time connects with the tight end Chris Broom, and Georgia for the first time this afternoon is across midfield to the Florida 39-yard line. Broom, a senior tight end, with the catch, and Talley beginning to get his team untracked offensively.
This is a well-conceived play. They sprint to the left, then it's a throwback or almost a bootleg type action to your tight end Broom, who's all by himself because everyone else was going with the flow. Before they catch up with him, he's well down the field inside the Gator 40-yard line. Only 8 receptions all year long.
Garrison Hurst twisting and turning. The Gators Odom and Bartley. Michael Brandon throwing him back near the 40-yard line. Jerry Odom shaken up earlier in the football game, showing no ill effects. A hard-nosed senior linebacker out of Barren Island, Florida. Time winding down in the first period. 1:23 left in this quarter with the Gators on top of the Bulldogs, 14-0. Maxwell is in motion. Talley throws, there's contact, and a flag goes down. The Gators are called for pass interference. Del Spear bumped with Sean Hummings. It looked like Spear thought Hummings might be turning toward the inside, and Hummings went the other way. That was unintentional contact, no doubt about that, but nonetheless, defensive pass interference.
Yeah, Spear thought he was just maintaining his position on the field.
Defensive pass interference. It's either 15 yards or at the spot. Whichever one is short, it'll be first down.
Bulldogs' first threat offensively of the football game. They have taken advantage of the Gators' second turnover of the afternoon. Recovered a fumble inside their 5, and now they are inside the Gator 25. Talley gets protection again and throws incomplete. His receiver, Garrison Hurst, was blanketed by James Spear, and Talley just unloaded it.
Georgia again on the sprint out action, this time trying to get Hurst underneath the linebackers as he broke toward the sideline, but he was well covered by 3 or 4 Gators in the secondary. Talley really threw that ball away wisely. You know, coming into this ball game, Georgia's only the 7th best rushing team in the Southeastern Conference. That's unusual for Georgia to be in the 2nd division of the SEC running the football.
Another short drop. Andre Hastings had 6 for Georgia. The freshman out of Morrow, Georgia. His 2nd touchdown reception of the year, and it looks like he has been shaken up on the play. But let's take another look at the outstanding play the youngster made.
And he is a youngster, the freshman who gets underneath Richard Fain and escapes the tackles of the safeties and barely gets into the end zone. But that's a miraculous turnaround for Georgia, isn't it? They were facing, had the backs to the wall inside their own 1-inch line, came up with a turnover, and now march all the way down the field for a big touchdown.
And made it look easy on that drive.
Greg Talley throws a bit of a wobbler here, but doesn't matter because it's right in the belly. Andre Hastings.
This guy was a member of every high school All-American team that there is. A legitimate high school All-American.
And he seems to be rather severely injured. We'll get an update on that as we can.
The left-footed John Casey will attempt the extra point. Casey, who rarely misses, drills that one. And with 57 seconds left in the first period, the Bulldogs have cut the Gator lead right in half, thanks to a Florida turnover at about the 1-foot line, which started that drive for Georgia. But the Bulldogs marched it impressively up the field, mixing in the running of Garrison Hurst and the passing of their quarterback, Mr. Talley and company.
Now we'll see if the Gators and Coach Spurrier can get that momentum back. Georgia really turned it around right there. As we mentioned, they were backed up on their own 1-inch line. The Gators were about to go 3 touchdowns ahead. They came up with a turnover and then go 96 yards for the touchdown.
Well, if it's Gator sports that you're looking for, you can find it right here on Sports Channel. On Thursday at 6:30, tune into the Gator Hotline with head coach Steve Spurrier. Talk with a head football coach every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. On Saturday at 11:30, Gator football, the Gators against the Kentucky Wildcats. And Sunday at 12 noon, Florida football highlights with Steve Spurrier. Check your local listings for availability in your area. The momentum has switched from the orange and blue to the red and black. That drive, a 96-yard drive by the Georgia Bulldogs. John Casey, the latest in a long line of outstanding place kickers at the University of Georgia. Harrison Houston and Monty Duncan staying deep and wait for the kick. And it will be Monty Groh, an up man from the 15-yard line. Groh is drilled at the 25. And was tackled by Chan Wilson. 50 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Florida's 14-0 lead, which looked like it was going to become a 21-0 lead, is now 14-7.
Well, we've seen a lot of excitement in one quarter, haven't we? I mean, 21 points already on the board, 14-7. The Gators have the lead, but a lot of excitement here in this first quarter in Jacksonville, Florida.
Gators have fumbled twice. The Bulldogs have fumbled once and thrown 1 interception and went for a Florida touchdown. Matthews looks to throw on first down. McClendon got a block upfield and drives to about the 36-yard line. Big Hisham Ismail knocked somebody on his back at about the 30.
In addition to the draw, the screen is a way to slow down that pass rush and pick up some yardage as well. You see Ismail, number 77, doing the job there, David, as you mentioned. McClendon picking up an extra 6 yards because of that block. That's the job on the screen, though. You get 2 or 3 big offensive linemen out there, and they form a caravan for that talented tailback.
McClendon has come off the field. Eric Rett is in at tailback. It appeared that maybe McClendon was a bit shaken up on that play. Matthews with pressure, dumps it to McNabb, and they'll lose about 2 or 3 yards back to the 35-yard line. Eric Coney made the tackle, but Mitch Davis was in fast pursuit of the Florida quarterback.
Coming from the backside of Matthews, the quarterback, as he drops back to pass, his blind side is to his left, and right there Davis was putting some pressure on him.
We have played the first 15 minutes from the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, and our score, the Gators 14, the Bulldogs 7. You're watching Gator football on Sports Channel.
What girl's gonna go for me with a body like this?
Hang in there, Tom. I'm you 2 years from now, because you're drinking milk and working out.
Well, I'm not changing so far.
But milk's at work inside you.
Oh, yeah?
And tomorrow the difference can show. All that protein for muscle and calcium for bones.
But I'm still a skinny bench warmer.
Hey, if the sight of yourself at 18 doesn't convince you, Tom, listen to your senior year girlfriend.
Hi, Tom. I'm waiting.
Milk. It does a body good.
Is there anything a kid likes more than likes hot dogs?
Ooh, a really, really nice bite. CD cassette player. Cash. 10,000 bucks.
Well, guess what you can win when you get specially marked packages of Likes Meats and play the Fold and Win game. $10,000.
I could live on that.
Or thousands of other great prizes. Lots of loot is up for grabs. But better get some Likes hot dogs, bologna, or cold cuts soon. When it's Likes, it's gone.
A crowd of over 81,000, 81,529 here at the Gator Bowl. The second period begins. Florida has second down and 11. Matthews almost threw it right into the hands of Mike Jones, who really could have easily intercepted that pass. Here's the scoring summary from the Georgia Bulldogs. That play consumed only 2 minutes and 1 second. Look how far Georgia went after recovering the Shane Matthews fumble at the 4-yard line. Now it is third down and 11. Matthews has Kirkpatrick, and Kirkpatrick has a first down at the 34-yard line of Georgia. That is a big third down conversion for Shane Matthews.
Look at him. He's eyeballed Kirkpatrick from the snap right here. He's looking at him to get in between those safeties and corners, and it was Chris Wilson and Chuck Carswell closing on Kirkpatrick, but not before Matthews could zip the ball in there.
Kirkpatrick only needs 2 receptions to tie Jim Yancey for the most receptions by a tight end in a single season.
Of course, Jim Yancey had John Reeves throwing to him in 1969.
That record set in 70 of 40. Flags go down, and it looks like Shane Matthews didn't get the snap off in time. Shane, you may have seen arguing with the official that he thought he
Before
did.
The ball was snapped, the 25-second clock expired, 5 yards, still be first and 15.
That puts the Gator offense in a bit of a disadvantage, working now first and 15 from just inside the Georgia 40. The Gators have had no problem moving the football against Georgia, but the offense has scored only 1 time, and you see penalties a little bit of a factor early on. The defense scored 1 of those 2 Florida touchdowns. Again, it's Kirkpatrick. And again, it's a Florida first down at the Georgia 21.
On that occasion, Mo Lewis, Georgia's outstanding linebacker, found himself matched up with Kirkpatrick initially, but Kirk just runs right by him. This kid can run a 4.6 40, weighs 230 pounds. And before Mike Jones can come over and make the hit, knocking Kirkpatrick out of bounds, he's picked up another vital first down. He's playing like an All-American. If there's a better tight end in this country, I haven't seen him.
He catches it as well as any tight end. Perhaps the exception of Derek Brown at Notre Dame. Eric Rett picks up 2 yards on first down. And again, the Gators will operate inside the Georgia 20-yard line. Bernard Williams, look how tall he stands above the rest of his teammates. 6'9".
6'9". He'd make a nice power forward in the NBA, wouldn't he?
He looks like a power
could set
forward.
A pick or 2.
Freshman, a true freshman out of Memphis, Tennessee. Georgia has lost 9 defensive linemen to injuries this season. 9. Matthews dumps it over the middle for McNabb. And McNabb is inside the 15 to about the 12-yard line of the Bulldogs.
David Matthews right now is 11 of 14. He's just got uncanny accuracy here this afternoon. He's right on target. And again, he has so many different options. On this occasion, he goes to the fullback, McNabb, who just sits down about 4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. But after he catches the ball, picks up another 4 or 5.
Another third down play coming up for the Gators. Eric Rett gets the first down inside the 10 to the Georgia 9. It'll be first down and goal.
Talked about the size of these Gator tailbacks. Rett's 217. He got 140-some yards rushing against the Auburn Tigers last week. Not much of a drop-off when you put McClendon on the bench and put Eric Rett in the ball game. Both those guys are really alternating starters. Neither one of them's really a second teamer. They're just both outstanding.
Ruben, when we get a chance, talk.
Football is just inside the Georgia 10. The sun comes out brightly for the first time. Eric Rett looking for room on the short side of the field. Gets a couple of 2 or 3 tough yards to the 6 before Morris Lewis makes the tackle. You talked about Shane Matthews' passing efficiency this afternoon. He's completing a high percentage. He's throwing for a lot of yardage. In '85, when the Gators were ranked #1 and came in here and played Georgia and lost that game 24-3, Kerwin Bell moved the Gators up and down the field that day. Threw for over 400 yards.
Quit talking about those type of things. Will you make you nervous, sir? That's all right. Go ahead.
Gators trying to put it in early in the second period. And a draw to McNabb.
Oh, nothing.
Georgia stuffs the play at about the 6-yard line.
Oh, now we're faced with another critical third down.
Andre Hastings being evaluated for a possible ankle injury. An update when we can get one. Let's check with Steve Babick.
Thanks, David. First of all, defensively, Brad Culpepper has a left hip pointer. Hurt it pretty bad. They got some extra padding there, but you can tell he's uncomfortable with it, but he's able to play. Also, Willie McClendon, last offensive series, got his bell rung pretty good, and they're going to keep him out for a little bit, but he's okay to play when he's ready to go back in. Back upstairs.
Here's another crucial third down. And Matthews, with the blitz on, looks for the end zone and just throws the football away. The Bulldogs had man-to-man coverage in the secondary, but Matthews could not find an open receiver.
And Georgia tightens up and forces the Gators to attempt the field goal. Florida was 4 of 5 on third down field conversions before that play, before that failure. Georgia just did a nice job in the coverage. Matthews had no choice but to throw the ball away.
Arden Krzyzewski has had an outstanding season with 11 out of 14 field goals, and this one from about 24 yards out is good. So the Gators take a 10-point lead. They have to settle for 3 after they drove it inside the Georgia 10. But with 10:44 to play in the second quarter, it's the Gators 17, the Bulldogs 7. You're watching Gator football on Sports Channel.
Let's go party down on the beach all day.
Cons, your authorized C2 sales and service center.
Let's go party down at the beach all day.
The Fitness Center proudly announces the grand opening of their new Super Spa in the Pompey West Shopping Center. Real aerobics, real personal training and equipment, and real results. Featuring Stairmaster, Life Cycle, revolutionary circuit training equipment, Olympic weights, plus free daycare. It's the Fitness Center. Join now as 2 people can join for the price of 1. Call us today, 728-8707. It's the Fitness Center in the Pompey West Shopping Center off Malabar Road. When you really want results.
Brian Rulin putting the football up on the tee for the Florida Gators. Arden Krzyzewski has given Florida a 17-7 lead with a chip shot field goal after a Gator drive stalled out inside the 10-yard line. Wilson and Cleveland stand deep. Loretta Hurst, and Hurst with the football at the 5-yard line. He slips and falls, and his knee went down, so Georgia's in
I don't like that rule in college football
situation.
For that occasion. You know, that's a tough break.
Especially on a slippery track. Krzyzewski officially a 23-yard field goal. That drive consumed 5 minutes off the clock. 12 plays, 67 yards, and Albert celebrates a 10-point Florida lead at this point. But the last time this Georgia team had the football, they marched 96 yards. The Gator defense will need to tighten up after dominating the Bulldogs for their first 3 or 4 possessions. Bulldogs did basically whatever they wanted the last time they had the ball. Talley from his own end zone. And it's picked off. And it looks like Tim Falk or Richard Fain picked off that pass.
Richard Fain, David, the Gators preseason All-American.
That is his 10th career interception. And he played that perfectly on the corner.
Talley is sprinting out, but he zeroes in on his receiver. Look at his eyes. He's just looking at him, and Fain picks that up and just had excellent position. Anyway, that was just a poor decision by Talley, and Fain was right there to come up with a gigantic turnover.
Fain's 10 career interceptions puts him just a couple behind Bruce Bennett, the all-time leading pass interception man in Florida football history. And now the Gators threaten to score again. McClendon cuts back to the short side of the field, and Dwayne Simmons makes a nice open field tackle on McClendon at about the 6-yard line.
Gators come out with 2 tight ends, run that counter play that we've seen them have success with this year, where the tailback takes a pitch, takes one step, and then goes back the other direction. And Simmons was all by himself, but he strong arms McClendon and throws him out of bounds, and that's not easy to do. McClendon, as we mentioned, 225-pounder.
And Steve Spurrier, as you can see, wants to talk things over with his quarterback Shane Matthews, as the Gators have such a terrific opportunity to score here, and there apparently was some confusion about exactly what the play was going to be. So the Gators called timeout with 10:21 to play in the second period. 17-7, the score remains. This is Gator football on Sports Channel.
The human heart, understanding how it works and what happens when it breaks down, requires the skill of world-class physicians. The University of Florida cardiologists and cardiovascular surgeons, together with a team of healthcare professionals, they're helping people live healthier every day. For more information, consult your physician or call the Shands Cardiovascular Center in Gainesville at 1-800-PHYSICIAN.
What girl's gonna go for me with a body like this?
Hang in there, Tom. I'm you 2 years from now, because you're drinking milk and working out.
Well, I'm not changing so far.
But milk's at work inside you.
Oh, yeah?
And tomorrow the difference can show. All that protein for muscle and calcium for bones.
But I'm still a skinny bench warmer.
Hey, if the sight of yourself at 18 doesn't convince you, Tom, listen to your senior year girlfriend.
Hi, Tom. I'm waiting.
Milk. It does a body good.
Hey, Florida quarterback Shane Matthews hands the play from Steve Spurrier, and there you see the statistics of the sophomore quarterback, over 2,000 yards now, and that's ranking him among the premier quarterbacks in Florida football history. John Reeves, Kerwin Bell, Wayne Peace, those are the players that still rank ahead of Shane Matthews. And Steve Spurrier, I think, is just right ahead of it. Matthews rolling to his right. He has Mills, and Mills fights his way in for the touchdown.
Ernie Mills right here gets open on a pick route. The Gators had Trey Everett over there as well, about the 3-yard line. They had 3 wide receivers in the same area, but look at the strength right there as he fights into the corner. Probably the most talented Gator wide receiver, Ernie Mills.
The former defensive back delivered a lick right there to cornerback George Wynn. Ran right over him into the end zone. Krzyzewski drills the extra point, and the Gators are back on top by 17. They started strong in the first period, and they have come on strong here early in the second period to build back the lead to 17 points after Georgia cut it to 14-7. And don't forget that live National Basketball Association action continues here on Sports Channel with Miami Heat basketball on Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. The rugged Dallas Mavericks come to the Miami Arena. Then on Friday at 7:30, it's the Heat at Indiana. On Tuesday, 7:30 p.m., the defending world champion Detroit Pistons come to the Miami Arena. And you will not want to miss that one with Bill Laimbeer and Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars and company making their first appearance of the season to Miami. Check local listings for availability in your area. Florida fans are eager to celebrate here. It has been a frustrating 12 to 15 years in this series for the Orange and Blue. They've had a couple of moments, but not many. 1984 was a great year for Florida football. 1986 was another Gator victory over both Auburn and Georgia back-to-back. That was an unusual Florida football team that lost early to Mississippi State, lost to Kentucky after beating Auburn and Georgia back-to-back, but scored two great victories back-to-back weeks against Auburn and the Georgia Bulldogs. That was the year that Kerwin Bell limped into the end zone on a two-point conversion to beat Auburn 18-17, and then the following week the Gators handled the Georgia Bulldogs. Ray Goff resumes his pacing up and down the Bulldog sideline.
David, this guy's never lost to the Florida Gators. As a player, he was 3-0. As a head coach, he's 1-0 coming into today's ball game.
Ryan Rulin kicks it very deep, and Chan Wilson will down the football in the end zone. And let's check down on the sideline with Steve Babbitt.
Thanks, David. Updating the Culpepper situation, Brad had to go in the locker room to get looked at because that left hip pointer is really starting to bother him. Dr. Peter Delicata wanted to take him inside and have a good look at it. So I think you'll see Dexter Smith on that defensive line. We'll see how that affects the play because Culpepper obviously very important to the Gator defense. Back upstairs.
Thanks, Steve. And that's, I think, brings up a good point. The Gators, part of their success this year has been they have stayed away from injury. Culpepper's back on the field. Well, he was not shaken up badly. They have a new quarterback. And the Gators give absolutely no respect as Tim Pauk makes the tackle. It looks like number 17. Was it 17 to Dupree or Preston Jones? I think it's number 17 at quarterback spot, Joe Dupree. So Preston Jones has been their backup quarterback, but Dupree gets the call here early in the second period. 6'2", 190, a freshman out of Macon, Georgia.
Maybe they think his running ability can spread that Gator defense out a little bit.
Talk about throwing a guy to the wolves. A freshman, a true freshman. Got some happy feet back there, and now he's in a serious trouble. And down he goes at the 11-yard line. Mark Murray and Huey Richardson.
Excellent pressure from the front four.
Murray, there you see some of the quickness that he possesses. He left his feet, came down, and still was able to spin around the fullback, Max Strong, and make the sack.
Dupree has seen very little action this year. This is a real surprise.
I wonder if Preston Jones has suffered an injury or something during the week, but he has been their solid backup quarterback. Here comes Murray again, blindsiding the quarterback, and it is ruled a pass incompletion.
Bill Rosenberg, the offensive left tackle, is beat by Murray at the bottom of your screen. Murray gets outside of Rosenberg, and again, that blindside hit is so dangerous because the quarterback cannot see the defensive end coming, and as he prepared to throw the football field, it was knocked away.
Rarely do you get a chance to see what a guy looks like. But Mark Murray has shed his helmet to make sure everybody gets a good look as he comes to the sideline. Senior out of Apopka, has had a tremendous career for the Florida Gators. Here comes the rush. And Armstrong just barely got it away, pooched it out of there, and the ball rolls dead at the 49-yard line.
Barber does a nice job of just getting away from the ball and letting it roll dead.
Gators have excellent field position inside the 50 at the Georgia 49. 8 minutes and 39 seconds left to play in this first half. It's been all Florida here in the first half of the football game. This is Gator football on Sports Channel.
touch this. You can't touch this. Break it down.
Yeah, you can touch this. At Conn's, the fastest growing Kawasaki dealership in Central Florida. Check out Conn's full line of action wear. You'll be awesomized by famous brands like Kawasaki, Body Glove, just to name a few. Conn's, your headquarters for outdoor excitement. Your big toy store in Melbourne. The Fitness Center proudly announces the grand opening of their new Super Spa in the Pompey West Shopping Center. Real aerobics, real personal training and equipment, and real results. Featuring Stairmaster, Life Cycle, revolutionary circuit training equipment, Olympic weights, plus free daycare. It's the Fitness Center. Join now as 2 people can join for the price of 1. Call us today, 728-8707. It's the Fitness Center in the Pompey West Shopping Center off Malabar Road. When you really want results.
Here's a look at what the Gators have done when they've played Auburn and Georgia back-to-back. They've done that every year since consecutively since the early 60s, but even before then they played the Tigers and the Bulldogs on back-to-back occasions. And you can see what little success the Gators have had against Georgia and Auburn. Trying to win both of those football games has been a very difficult task. And Georgia, conversely, Jim, has problems with Auburn the following week. Their series record against Auburn doesn't look as good as their series record does against Florida. Matthews throwing for Trey Everett. And Everett has a Florida first down at the 30-yard line, a pickup of about 19 yards. Linebacker John Allen, a junior out of Lindale, Georgia, made the tackle.
Trey Everett just simply sprints down about 15 yards and sits down on a little bit of a hook route just underneath the deep coverage of the Georgia Bulldogs. About a 15-yard pickup right there.
Matthews is just picking apart Georgia's own defense.
He's red hot, isn't he? He's really hot.
Got a man open again. Tight end Kirkpatrick, who's having a big afternoon, is inside the 25-yard line. Dwayne Simmons, the linebacker, made the tackle for the Georgia Bulldogs. Jim Yancey just got caught by that young man, Kirkpatrick. His 40th reception of the season, which matches the best year in terms of catching the football by a Florida tight end. There have been some other great tight ends at Florida, though, that didn't catch that many passes, right, Jim? Matthews going for Mills, but Mills went out, and Matthews threw it in.
Yeah, he gave a signal at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, they didn't read each other correctly. That's one of the few times Matthews is not connected this afternoon, and that was just a breakdown in communication.
Go! Come on, Gators!
7:16 left in the first half. Florida would like to build upon a 17-point lead. Even with that incompletion, Matthews is still posting impressive numbers. Here comes pressure from Mo Lewis, and throwing on the run is Matthews, and Terrence Barber makes the catch at around the 21-yard line. That will be about a yard short of a first down, maybe 2 yards shy, depending upon the spot. And George Wynn made the tackle.
Coach Spurrier's going to go for it, David. He's going for the juggler here. And well, he should.
Doesn't like to settle for punts or field goals if he can help it.
The Gators have yet to punt today, I think.
That's right. They've turned it over a couple of times, but I haven't turned it over on a punt. Georgia sending linebackers in there, and they sent everybody. And that is a fine play by strong safety Mike Jones, who hit the running back head on.
Yeah, they had a player in every gap. They've got a player shooting every gap, and finally Mike Jones is across the line of scrimmage before the Gator tailback even gets near the line of scrimmage. That's a beautiful play by Georgia. Anticipated that one correctly. Joe Dupree back in the game.
It's completed only 3 passes, as you see there, coming into this game. Running a little option play there, and he's smothered by Huey Richardson and inside linebacker Ed Robinson.
Well, it'd be hard to believe they could move the ball that successfully against one of the best rushing defenses in the country, especially when you're down 24-7. But Georgia comes out running that option attack, hoping to make something happen with this running quarterback.
Robinson looks like he's going to be another in a long line of outstanding Gator inside linebackers. This is the freshman out of Defuniak Springs. Dupree throws, and it is incomplete. Intended for Sean Hummings, and the pass not very well thrown. Fee Bartley had coverage, but that one could have been completed. 5:49 left in the second period.
Push him back, push him back, way back. Come on, Gators, push him back, way back.
That Florida defense just manhandled Auburn last week, and they're doing it again to the Georgia Bulldogs, who have 0 rushing yardage this afternoon so far. The Gators held Auburn to just 170 yards in total offense last week. Dupree threw the football, and his wide receiver had no idea that it was coming. Damon Evans, number 80, was the intended receiver. Richard Fain had a chance to pick off another one if the ball had been thrown up just a little bit.
Coach Goff talking to Evans there as he leaves the field, saying, son, you're supposed to run a post route. He wasn't even looking for the ball. The Gators were blitzing from the inside, and miscommunication between quarterback and wide receiver, and the ball goes into the ground.
Georgia punting for the 3rd time this afternoon. And not much of a rush this time. Scott Armstrong hangs it high, and Terrence Barber fumbles but recovers. Carswell was right there to pounce on it if it had gone astray, but Terrence Barber was able to get on top of the football at the 41-yard line.
Seems like this whole game's been played from the Gator 40-yard line into the Georgia goal line. Gators just had tremendous field position all afternoon.
With that one exception of Georgia's 96-yard drive. Join Sports Channel every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Southeastern Conference Weekly with your host, Gus Hergert. As for all the latest scores and highlights featuring the University of Florida Gators and other colleges from around the Southeastern Conference, check local listings for availability in your area. That's SEC Weekly right here on Sports Channel. Florida fans coming in all shapes and sizes to the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. Tremendous crowd of over 81,000.
Look at this, David, a team dominated by youngsters. Georgia playing a lot of freshmen and sophomores, 11 in combination, sophomore and freshman class. Gators are just the converse. They are dominated by juniors and seniors.
You look at the 25-year average of Georgia's starting lineup from 64 to 89. And how much experience the Bulldogs have put on the field from year to year to year. Now in 1990, all of a sudden the cupboard is bare at the upper end of that Bulldog roster. They've lost some through academic casualties, having really tightened the grip on things after academic problems created by
Jan Kemp,
one of their professors up there several years ago. I say problems. I'm not sure if that's the right word or not, but certainly a new awareness to a few things. Matthews throws on first down, and the pass is dropped by Barber. Looked like it might have been a catchable ball up about the 47-yard line of Georgia. George Wynn covering for the Bulldogs.
Trey Everett had been the starting wide receiver along with Ernie Mills, but Terrence Barber had played so well when Everett got hurt that Everett's not been able to win that job back, and you're not going to see Terrence Barber drop many. Now the Gators are back with 3 wide receivers.
5:30 left in the first half. There's that man again, Kirkpatrick. with yet another reception. He was well covered by Chris Wilson, who really did about all he could do to keep Kirkpatrick from making another reception.
Yeah, Chris Wilson and the ball arrive at the same time, but Kirkpatrick disregards Wilson and catches the football. He's got his body between the ball and Wilson. He's just a talented wide receiver, and he refuses to give the ball away, even as he's hit by Wilson.
Senior out of Valrico and Brandon High School in the Tampa Bay area. Gator first down again. Matthews finds the opening and is brought down at about the 32-yard line.
They brought the safety right there, and Matthews saw the safety being knocked down. He sees the block being made right there by his back. I think it's Rhett. Now he sees a gaping hole. He says, I'll go for it. There's that big kid, 6'9", chasing him.
Bernard Williams, he's blocked a couple of extra points for Georgia at 6'9". That should not be much of a surprise. Eric Rhett, Florida's tailback, hammers it inside the 30 to about the 27. For running into linebacker Travis Jones, another true freshman out of Irwinton, Georgia.
Eric Rhett, big strong tailback. Look at him driving forward right there. But again, the Gators just continue to play football in Georgia territory all afternoon. Got a 24-7 lead as you look at what Rhett did last week, but you still get a feeling the Gators aren't operating on all cylinders, even though they've got this big lead and they're dominating the ball game.
Matthews looking for Kirkpatrick, and it should have been intercepted.
There was Chris Wilson again. He had hit Kirkpatrick on that same play just a moment or two ago, but Kirkpatrick came up with the ball. This time, Wilson almost gets it. Just can't get that ball's got to be delivered before Wilson can make his break, and Wilson was reading it all the way, and he actually bumped Kirkpatrick there before Kirkpatrick had a chance to go for the ball. But that was a very close call, but more of a good play by Wilson. Tried to force that ball into Kirkpatrick maybe once too often.
It is second down for the Gators. Terrence Barber on the corner. Cannot get past George Wynn, the cornerback on the left side of the Bulldog defense. Wynn has been in on a lot of tackles, a lot of plays already this afternoon, with Matthews throwing it, close to 20 times now in the football game.
Barber almost gets loose along the sideline right there. What is he, about less than a yard short of the first down?
It'll be 3rd and 1. Barber caught 29 passes now this season. And Matthews is going to try for the end zone, and Monty Duncan, a leaping grab, but he was out of bounds.
Oh, it looked like he got pushed out of bounds. We'll perhaps get a replay. George Wynn in coverage right there on Monty Duncan, who went down the sideline. If you go up in fair territory and you get bumped out of bounds, it's still a good catch. But oh, he was just about an inch out of bounds when he went up, it looked like. That was a close call. Good coverage there.
And here we go again.
I don't think you're going to see the tailback carry the ball here.
4th down and 1. They got stuffed on their last possession. They'll run outside Eric Rhett, and he will have a first down at about the 15-yard line of Georgia.
Well, he did carry the ball, but he carried it outside, as you mentioned. He didn't try and go between those tackles because Georgia had every gap covered again. So this time coach says, well, we'll just pitch it outside and see what happens. And look at the block by the tight end there. Backup tight end number 82. Charlie Dean did a nice job right there.
Rhett not getting a lot of opportunities so far this afternoon. That's Rhett in motion, lining up in a slot to the right side. And the pass is incomplete. Terrence Barber, the intended receiver.
George Wynn had him covered all the way right there.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, Gators.
Matthews really just threw that one away.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, Gators. Let's go. Left side. 1.
Florida head coach Steve Spurrier, also the offensive coordinator for the Gator football team, flashing in the sign to the sophomore quarterback.
Looked like a third base coach there, didn't he?
Matthews runs out of bounds. He simply could not find an open man. He had the fullback, Dexter McNabb, drag him back across the middle, waving his arms up and down, but Shane was not looking in that direction.
Really no pressure at all, just good coverage in the secondary right there. Matthews looking downfield. Rowell forces his man inside, allowing Matthews to get outside easily. Finally, he's knocked out of bounds.
Put it in the end zone, Gators.
Maybe a draw or screen here.
Third down. And on the 15-yard line. Matthews changing the call and almost ran out of time, but got the snap off. He looks deep, but will have to go down.
Wanted to go to Ernie Mills on the post route. On the flag route, breaking to the corner, but Mills was not there. Matthews wants him all the way right here. He's got Ernie Mills on his mind. Then when he decides to look back, he feels pressure at his feet and decides just to go down in the middle of the field and give Krzyzewski a chance to pump another field goal through there.
Krzyzewski has one from 23 yards out already. This one will be from 34. It looks like it's going to be off, and it is wide to the left. The Gators miss another scoring opportunity. Pushing it inside the Georgia 20-yard line. Coming up empty, so they have to be satisfied with still just a 17-point lead. I say just a 17-point lead, and you have to understand it. Gators have just been up and down the field. They could have 40 points or more at this point in this game.
And it's got to be taking a mental toll on the Georgia Bulldogs, too, to be backed up in their own territory all afternoon long, be fighting for their life all afternoon. Nothing's working for them.
Dupree throws over the middle. The pass was caught, but trapped, apparently. The officials rule it incomplete. Shannon Mitchell, the freshman tight end, trying to convince the officials that he made a good catch. Let's go down on the field to Steve Babick.
David and Jimmy talk about Kirk Kirkpatrick, the tight end for the Gators, having a great first half. One time he came off the sidelines to the trainer. I thought he was hurt, and it was a contact lens problem. I wear contact lenses. I can appreciate that. He got it fixed up, went back in. He's okay. I tell you, this Georgia band harassing me. Let's go back upstairs quick.
They're barking at you,
Barking
Steve.
at him. You hear that?
Dupree hands off to Garrison Hurst. We've not seen or heard from him much here in the second quarter. Georgia just smothered him.
Still not getting anything running the football. You know, coming into this ball game, they were running about as effectively as the Gators were. You know, Hurst and Ware were producing about the same number of yards that McClendon and Rhett were, but
they hadn't played the Florida defense.
That's right. And the defense that they're playing is rated #1 against the rush in the Southeastern Conference, #2 overall in the nation.
Michael Brandon made that last tackle. Short drop again. And the pass is caught, but a good play on the corner by Jimmy Spencer. There's a penalty flag going down. Rodney McCoy made the catch for the Bulldogs, and it's going to go against the Bulldogs, I think, with 1:08 left in this second quarter.
15 yards from the...
Well, let's try that again.
Now, the Gators were cheering there, so we thought it was against Georgia.
Officiating crew still talking things over. Georgia's offense is coming off the field, so that would be a pretty good indication that the Bulldogs are going to be punting, and the Gators would decline the penalty. This Georgia team really has had some tough losses this year.
The play was over. We had a face mask against the offensive team. It'll be fourth down after a half the distance penalty to goal line.
So they're penalized on a dead ball foul, a late face mask. And Georgia will be kicking the football from out of their own end zone. The game that really knocked the Bulldogs for a loop was 2 weeks ago in Lexington when Kentucky beat them 26-24.
And really, Georgia had problems on offense in that game. They had one touchdown on a kickoff return, one touchdown on a punt return. So they really have had their problems getting their offense cranked up. And, of course, when they played in Clemson this year, Clemson really handed them their head. 34-3, something like that. That's a bitter rivalry, too, Clemson, Georgia.
Georgia still has Auburn and Georgia Tech left on its schedule. And it's been a long time. I think you got to go back and maybe even earlier than the 60s to find a Georgia football team that
had a losing season.
No, they didn't win more than 4. They lost had a losing season in the mid-70s. I think about 76.
4-7. Yeah, that'd be hard to believe a Georgia team would be 4-7. Could happen to them.
Scott Armstrong punting for the 4th time. And again, the Gators stand to get some excellent field position.
Yeah, Terrence Barber just stands on the 50-yard line on every occasion, it seems.
Armstrong pops it straight up into the air. And the Bulldogs down it. Chuck Carswell at about the 36-yard line. The last losing season was 77 for Georgia. 76, they were SEC champions. They were 5-6 in 1977.
Look for Coach Steve Spurrier to go to a no-huddle, 2-minute type offense right here with 58 seconds left in this ball game. He's going to try and hurry up, get the ball in the end zone, get more points.
Let's go Gators! Let's go Gators!
Gators have been firmly entrenched in Bulldog territory all afternoon long. But the offense has only scored 17 points. The defense got a touchdown on a pass interception. Dump pass to Eric Gretsch, the tailback to the 31-yard line.
Trey Everett was uncovered, David. He was literally not covered. There was a breakdown in the secondary. Defensive backs were screaming and yelling at each other. There was just a complete breakdown in the secondary, and luckily for Georgia, Matthews dumped the ball to a short route the back.
This time Matthews goes for Everett. Everett makes the catch inside the 20. Or did they rule it incomplete?
Yeah, they're going to give it to him. No huddle. That moving the change will stop the clock for a few seconds.
I think the Gators are they going to use a timeout? They had
trying to call the play, it looks like.
Just one timeout left. Clock running, 17 seconds, and now they'll have to use a timeout.
Well, Coach Spurrier takes the visor off and throws it firmly into the turf because there's a breakdown at the line of scrimmage. He wanted to get that play off before the official restarted the clock or soon thereafter, and they were still discussing what they were going to call.
The Gators have relied primarily on a passing game this afternoon. They have not run the football very much.
He wants 7. He's thinking 7. He doesn't want another field goal. He'll take it, but Coach Spurrier's thinking 7 points right here.
Gators have derived 62% of their offense in passing yardage coming into today's game, 38% on the ground. Contrast that with last year, 1989, when the Gators got 62% of their yards from the run and 38% from the pass. So the Steve Spurrier offense, without Emmitt Smith and with the Spurrier offensive look that he put in at Duke University, and before that, I guess, with the Tampa Bay Bandits and the USFL, has really been clicking this season in his first year as head football coach at his alma mater. There's the domination of the Florida football team in this game.
No backs in this formation.
And the tight end Greg Keller breaks off the line of scrimmage, but he'll not get much just inside the 15 to about the 13-yard line. And time is going to, do they have a timeout left? The clock ran down, but did the Gators call a timeout, or did they even have one left? The scoreboard showed they had one.
Evidently not.
But that looks like is going to be the end of the first half. So the Gators could be up by much, much more, but our halftime score from Jacksonville, the Gators 24, the Bulldogs 7. This is University of Florida Gator football on Sports Channel.
Are you the adventurous boating enthusiast searching for one store to buy all your marine and water sport accessories at a discount price?
Third quarter from the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville with the Gators on top of the Georgia Bulldogs 24-7. We've got 30 minutes of football still to play, so stay with us. You are watching University of Florida Gator football on Sports Channel. Away the football as we start the third period, and Georgia fumbles it. Carswell around the goal line. And Chuck Carswell picks it up and carries it out across the 10 to about the 12-yard line for the Georgia Bulldogs, who will open up this third period with the football in not very good field position. That was Brian Cleveland, 37 rather than 27 on that return. We are early in the third period, just underway. They've spotted the ball at the 14-yard line in Bulldog territory.
Georgia has to get something going early in this third quarter, trailing 24-7. If the Gators hold them to 3 plays and a punt, Georgia's got real problems.
Greg Talley is back at quarterback after Dupree played most of the latter part of the second period. Handoff to the tailback, and he gets out across the 15 to about the 16-yard line. That is Garrison Hurst. Timmy Pauk made the tackle. Jim Bates, the defensive coordinator for the Florida Gators, has done a great job with some outstanding talent. There's no doubt about that. He inherited a pretty good group. But this is a active, swarming, well-coached and well-disciplined University of Florida defensive team.
Well, with a different staff on defense last year, they came into this game, as we mentioned, #1 in the nation in total defense. A lot of talent, Florida defense.
Talley wants to throw the ball, and he gets hit, but completes the pass to the tight end. And Broom broke a tackle or two, taking it out across the 20 to about the 22-yard line. That should be a yard or two short of a Georgia first down.
B. Bartley likes to make the big hit, but sometimes he fails to wrap the guy up. And on this occasion, he tries to make the big hit, but the strong tight end is just going to cast him aside and pick up an additional 3 or 4 yards and get close to that first down.
Maxwell and Hummings are the wide receivers. Georgia in a third down and short yardage situation. Talley will try and throw for the first down. Maxwell juggles it and cannot make the catch. They would have had a first down on their first possession, but Maxwell could not hold on.
Kevin Maxwell out in the flat, had the first down picked up, but the ball was thrown behind him. The quarterback Talley just couldn't get it to him. Play was designed very well, though. It could have easily picked up the first down as we look at Scott Armstrong, who had a busy first half, didn't he?
Punted 4 times already. I think you mentioned, Jim, the Gators haven't punted the football yet.
And look at Terrence Barber again standing near the 50-yard line where he seems to have been all afternoon long, receiving Georgia punts.
Gators come hard after this one and don't get it. Barber from his 47 across midfield to the 49 of Georgia. Florida's offense will come onto the field for the first time here in the second half. But first, we've got a timeout with 13:08 to play in the third period. The Florida Gators 24, the Georgia Bulldogs 7. You're watching Gator football on Sports Channel.
Let's go party down on the beach all day.
Cons. Beach, your authorized C2 Sales and Service Center.
Let's go party down at the beach all day.
Are you spending over 6 cents per gallon for your bottled water? Lifeline Ultra Pure Drinking Water Systems can save you up to 75% over bottled water with a Lifeline reverse osmosis water cooler. The Lifeline is a bottleless cooler that easily hooks up to your water source, so you can turn regular water into ultra pure water. And with 100% financing and no money down, you can start enjoying ultra pure water in just days.
Call Lifeline today. I did, and start saving 75% on your water.
Florida quarterback Shane Matthews having quite a season, 2,143 yards. And that has put him past his head coach. And behind only Kerwin Bell, John Reeves, and Wayne Peace. 4 awfully good quarterbacks in Florida football history. And there's the man who doesn't mind at all that his sophomore quarterback has moved past him in the record books. I promise you that.
Yeah, it's his system. I think Matthews is a very fortunate young man to be the sophomore quarterback the year Steve Spurrier comes to the University of Florida. Of course, he's got John Reeves and Kerwin Bell on the staff as well to help him out. So a lot of brain power to help that young quarterback.
Well, they're all here in this stadium. 4 very fine quarterbacks. Here's what Matthews has done today statistically. Gators near midfield. They go to the draw play, and McClendon bolts across the 45 to about the 42-yard line. Dwayne Simmons with the tackle. The Gators ran the draw play only once or twice, as I can recall, in the first half.
Well, they tried to come out and power the football with their running game and just didn't have a whole lot of success, even though they picked up close to 60 yards. But this is their bread and butter play in combination with this awesome passing attack.
Put it in the end zone, Gators. Come on.
McClendon is the Gators' top runner this afternoon. And he gets the football again. Slips one man, but Greg Jackson brings him down at the 41-yard line. A linebacker, a sophomore out of Sharon, Georgia.
Big Willie Jennings, who's 6'5", 280, had him for a moment at the line of scrimmage. Look at the top of your screen. You'll see 56. Right there, but he breaks the tackle. And Simmons also can't quite get to him. McClendon, big, strong, at 223 pounds, 223, 225. He's a load.
3rd down and short for the Gators. They'll run it again, this time to Eric Rett. And Rett is stood up by Mike Jones, the strong safety.
Mike Jones, one-on-one tackle, just refuses to be denied and just crashes and crunches Rett. Rett looked like he could have broke back sooner. Right here, he could have broken back a little bit sooner, but he gets spread out a little bit, and Mike Jones just stands him right up, and here comes that first Gator punt of the afternoon.
Arden Krzyzewski has a chance to put Georgia deep in its own territory. Krzyzewski has punted 21 times this year for 35.4 yards per kick, and a fair catch is made by Carswell at the 9-yard line. So an effective kick, if not a long one, by Arden Krzyzewski. Timeout on the field with 11:09 to play in the 3rd period. Florida, a 17-point leader over the Georgia Bulldogs. You're watching University of Florida Gator football on Sports Channel. And we've mentioned it throughout this telecast, number 2 in the nation in total defense. And they're doing a number on the Georgia Bulldogs today. Georgia backed up inside its own 10-yard line and gets a couple of yards, running the ball across the 10 to about the 12 or 13.
David, you know, during the decade of the 80s, this Gator defense ranked number 1 in the Southeastern Conference on, I believe, 5 different occasions. And on each of those 5 years, they had a different defensive coordinator. So that's just a tribute to the talented young men that come to play defense at the University of Florida. And some excellent coaching.
Larry Ware, the ball carrier. Backup tailback, a junior out of Montgomery, Alabama. Tackled by Godfrey Miles.
You know, Gary Darnell, who was the defensive coordinator for the Gators last year and did a great job, is at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's having trouble stopping people. So I think that's a tribute to the talent on the field at the University of Florida. As you look at Jim Bates, who joined Steve Spurrier from the Tennessee volunteer coaching staff. He had known Steve through reputation, and they finally had a chance to get to coach together.
Third down and short. Ware ran right into Brad Culpepper. I don't know if he got the first down or not. The junior out of Tallahassee hit him head on as he tried to turn it upfield into the hole. And we'll see where they spot it. Georgia's punt team is coming on, so it'll be fourth down for the Bulldogs.
Both teams just can't convert on third and short. This time it's Georgia's turn, and look at Culpepper. And Godfrey Miles and Culpepper crunching at the line of scrimmage, but Brad Culpepper penetrated, moved down parallel to the line of scrimmage, and made the hit.
Come on, Gators.
Georgia punting for the 6th time this afternoon. Scott Armstrong now averaging just about 34 yards per kick, and there's Barber camped out around the 50 again. This one another short punt, but gets a good Georgia roll and trickles across the 15 at about the 49-yard line. Gators sitting right there at the 49. They, on 2 occasions in the first period, they had scoring opportunities, but were unable to put the ball in, and once in the third period they had it inside the 20 and were unable to score again, but still lead by 17 midway through the third quarter from Jacksonville. This is Gator football on Sports Channel. Quarter. The Gators 24, the Bulldogs 7, and quarterback Shane Matthews talking with his football team in the Gator huddle. This ball club has put together a lot of yardage. They've had great field position, but the offense has scored only 17 points. One of the Gator touchdowns was on a defensive play by linebacker Tim Pauk. Let's go down on the field to Steve Babbitt.
In the pregame show, we talked about how the wind would come in and make a factor of this game. And really, David, so far in this game, I've noticed one pass that was really knocked down by the wind. It was early in the first quarter, Patrick, and it got knocked down. But beyond that, I don't think either coach is really worried about the wind too much. And obviously, by the play calls of Steve Spurrier, he has no problem throwing the ball in this kind of weather. So far, so good. Back upstairs.
And Steve Babbitt with that Jimmy Johnson look, hanging right in there with the clock. Here's Matthews on a flea flicker, and he's got Barber all by himself.
Oh! Nice catch all by himself. You're not kidding.
The Gators strike quickly on that first play on the change of possession.
That's the most difficult pass to catch when you're so wide open and you know it and everyone in the stadium knows it, and he throws the ball 50 yards to you. There's the pitch to Rhett, then the handoff back to Matthews, and this time Barber is long gone past the secondary. Makes a leaping touchdown grab.
The extra point is good, and the Gators have a 24-point lead with 8:51 left in the third period. That was Terrence Barber's second touchdown catch of the season and his 4th career touchdown reception. So Shane Matthews now has thrown a couple of touchdown passes this afternoon. He's now got 16 for the year. And the Gators tack on 7 more against the Georgia Bulldogs. And that was a play, I think, Jim, that football team needed.
And we haven't seen that play this year, I don't believe, where it was pitched to the tailback and handed back to the quarterback. They have thrown the ball to the wide receiver, and he's thrown it downfield. But once the tailback had the ball, the secondary froze or moved toward the line of scrimmage, and then he simply handed it back to Matthews, and Barber, by that time, had sprinted 40 or 50 yards downfield and was all alone.
Brian Rule to kick it away for the Gators. And that is Brian Cleveland at the bottom of your screen and Chad Wilson at the top. And it is number 27 this time, Chuck Carswell, out across the 40-yard line and bumped out of bounds by the man who kicked it off, Ryan Rulin. The wall was sealed off there.
Ryan Rulin has to hit with a little bit more authority right there. He just tried to push Carswell out of bounds, and Carswell did not go out of bounds. Watch Ryan Rulin near the Gator sideline here as Carswell sprinting down. Now Rulin's just going to try and push him out. Look at that little push. He said, hey, that's not going to get it done. Got it. That's why you have that headgear on.
This may be Georgia's best field position to start an offensive series of the football game.
It's got to be, absolutely. Yeah, they've had terrible field position all afternoon.
They had the ball at their 36 once in the first half, and this 9 yards better than that. Larry Ware just gets drilled at the 45-yard line as Tim Pauk was there along with Huey Richardson, Mark Murray. Here's the scoring summary on the last Gator touchdown. Terrence Barber with his second touchdown reception of the season. And that makes it a 31-7 Gator lead with 8:33 now to play in the third quarter.
Looks like an illegal procedure.
Illegal motion by the offense at the snap. The penalty is declined. Got second down.
Yeah, declined that penalty because they stuffed it at the line of scrimmage.
Has had problems, as have most other quarterbacks all season long, operating against the University of Florida's vaunted defense. Opposing teams have completed only 44% of their passes against the Gators. There's a completion to Sean Hummings, and then Michael Brandon just caved in on top of the wide receiver at the 48-yard line.
That's an indication of team speed. When you get a defensive tackle who, after he's rushed the passer, turns around and tackles a wide receiver downfield. That's a lot of hustle and speed right there.
Murray is not a real big defensive lineman, but boy, is he quick. That play gains about 7. And that play lost about 3. Thanks to Jerry Odom blitzing from the inside linebacker position. Mark Murray shaken up a bit on that last play and the tackle he made on Sean Humming.
Once again, the attacking Gator defense. Inside linebacker Odom penetrates behind the pulling guard. Makes the tackle in the backfield.
Scott Armstrong will punt for the 7th time. This time at least Barber back standing inside of his 20-yard line. Clock running, a high snap. And somebody got hit in the back. And then the Gators pick it up and try to run with it. They'll have the football at the 46-yard line. Who was that? Dexter Smith that scooped it up?
No, that
was it Michael Kerr?
That was Kerr, our basketball player. The guy with the good hands, huh?
He was headed the other way, wasn't he?
Oh, Michael Kerr saw glory land there. Almost gets over Armstrong's head, and then
he had more time than he thought he had.
Yeah, he kind of soccer kicks it. And who's it hit? Let's see if it hits a Gator or a dog.
It hit a Florida player right in the back.
No, it's going to hit the official, I think, David.
Hit the official, huh?
So that was a live ball. Kerr could have picked it up and run for the touchdown. He wanted it.
Dexter McNabb, the ball carrier, on first down to midfield. So Georgia had a
Where are they on the field?
Midfield.
Unbelievable.
All day.
Unbelievable. Again and again.
Even
this
when
is a coach's dream in terms of what Steve Spurrier is trying to get done on offense, to get the ball against Georgia as many times and on the field where they've gotten it. It's unbelievable.
It does make it awfully easy to make your offensive play calls. You don't have to be conservative up there at the 50-yard line. Georgia runs a blitz. McClendon slices across the 45 to about the 43-yard line of Georgia. Mike Jones, the strong safety, made the tackle with 6 minutes and 2 seconds left in the third quarter.
Big number 52, Chris Bromley, pulling right there. You see Bromley pulling around, and there's 52 trying to lead the way for his tailback. And didn't hit anybody, but he led the way. He was trying to.
Florida has another first down inside the Georgia 45. Here's the play action, and Monty Duncan stays on his feet to about the 25-yard line of the Bulldogs.
Monty Duncan, who sees some action as a backup wide receiver, but basically is the kickoff returner for the Gators from St. Augustine, which is not far down the road. I know he's got some folks there watching the game. On a drag route deep in the secondary. Monty Duncan looking really good there.
That's only his 4th reception of the year.
Yeah, he hasn't played that much as a wide receiver because of the talented guys in front of him. Mills and Barber and Everett.
He's a freshman, a second-year freshman out of St. Augustine. McClendon, draw, tripped up, 25. Gain of 1. And the Bulldogs, Andre Washington, made a nice play to trip him up. We've ticked now inside of 5 minutes in the 3rd period. And the Gators are where they've been for most of the afternoon, inside Georgia's 30-yard line.
Duncan stays in the game as a wide receiver.
Oh, Willie McClendon ripped by Al Jackson. You heard the shoulder pads come together there at the 21. Jackson played on that national championship Pensacola Pine Forest team with Marquette Oliver.
And we have another Gator from Pinecrest whose name escapes me right now, but
I think there is.
Marquette Oliver saw a lot of action as a true freshman for the Gators in the secondary last year.
Gators have 2 receivers out to the left. Barber out to the right. Here comes the blitz again, and Matthews with single coverage will find his tight end at about the 10-yard line.
Georgia in a man-for-man on that occasion, and Mike Jones couldn't stay with a tight end, but I thought Trey Everett or Ernie Mills might break loose on man-for-man coverage. They were twin receivers wide to the left, but it's the tight end who lined up on the right, dragging across, that becomes the favorite receiver of Shane Matthews.
Kirkpatrick, look at that afternoon he's had. The senior from Brandon.
Matthews over 300 yards now, David, in passing offense today.
Shane Matthews checking off, and he ran out of time. The 25-second clock went out on him. So that will be a 5-yard penalty for a delay of game.
That really hurts. Deep in scoring territory there, and
before the ball was snapped, the 25-second clock expired. Got first down still.
The score is 31-7. But the Gators fumbled the ball at Georgia's 17 in the first period. They fumbled the ball again at the 1-foot line in the first quarter. Didn't score on either one of those times, and they went for 4th and 1. They went for it on 4th and 1 at the 20-yard line in the second period and lost 2 yards in another opportunity. So this score really could be much, much more lopsided than it is. Matthews looks to get more for the Gators. Oh. And the pass is not caught. Trey Everett can't dig it out. Let's check sideline with Steve Babbitt.
As the Gator offense is driving against the Georgia defense, just to update you on a defensive injury for Florida. Mark Murray came off holding his left shoulder, just has a burn or a stinger, just partially hurt, and the word from the trainers is as soon as it cleared up, he'll be able to go back in. And David, you mentioned early in the first half, knock on wood, the Gators' key to this season has been able to avoid really any type of bad injuries. Hopefully that trend will continue.
It is second down for the Gators. They can get a first inside the 1, but they will not need one. Touchdown, Ernie Mills. That is his second touchdown catch of the afternoon. And the Gators pour it on in Jacksonville. There's a penalty flag down. So let's hold on just a moment while the officials talk it over. They're talking with Georgia's captain, so they may bring this one back.
Come on, Gators.
Don't see any celebrating yet by either ball club. The flag was thrown in the backfield.
A dead ball personal foul against the offense. After the play was over, it'll be administered on the kickoff.
Touchdown's good, dead ball foul.
That's why Georgia wasn't celebrating.
Yeah. Ernie Mills just found a crack in that secondary. Just finds a seam, and watch Matthews get rid of the football. As soon as he knows he's got that seam right there, delivers the ball before Wilson can get over and make their play. Chris Wilson, the cornerback.
It is 37-7, and the Gators put one more up, 38-7. We are late in the third period. And Florida, which beat Auburn last week by 41, now leads Georgia by 31 points with just over 17 minutes left to play in the football game.
Yeah, I'm not used to this.
It just hasn't happened very often through the history
very
of...
often. Ever.
Well, with this type of scoring margin, you're right. Live National Hockey League action heating up on Sports Channel on Tuesday at 7:30. The Canadiens take on the New Jersey Devils. Then it's the Islanders against the Flames on Thursday at 9:30 p.m. And on Friday evening at 10:30, again the Islanders against the Vancouver Canucks. Check local listings for availability in your area. National Hockey League right here on Sports Channel. All smiles in the orange and blue sections of the Gator Bowl. And somewhere in the red and black have headed for the post-game tailgate party. And the last time Georgia fans were filing out of here this early, it was 1984 when the Gators won 27-0. The only thing that's kept Georgia from a shutout here was that one very impressive drive when they went 96 yards after recovering a fumble. That was in the first period, and they were a very impressive offensive football team in that first quarter on that one drive. But outside of that one series, the Gators have completely shut down Georgia. You look at their total yardage figures, I'm not exactly sure where it is right now, but they got most of them on that one possession.
And they had a 15-yard penalty on that drive that helped them out a lot, too.
Chuck Carswell, nice cut back to the inside, and the Bulldogs have decent field position at the 39-yard line. Ed Robinson made the tackle. Georgia's total offensive yardage is 106, and they got 94 on that one possession.
Gators well over a 3-1 advantage in total offense. At least Georgia has a little breathing room here near their 40-yard line as we look at the 106 yards by Georgia all afternoon total offense.
Talley has Maxwell in motion. Garrison Hurst. The freshman is driven out of bounds by Del Spear. His older brother James Spear is a fifth-year senior on the Florida football team, both out of Miami Carroll City High School and recruited by Red Anderson. Gary Anderson has worked that South Florida area extremely effectively over the last 5 or 6 years for the University of Florida.
Red Anderson was an outstanding defensive tackle, a teammate of Steve Spurrier on the Gator teams of the mid-60s. Coaches defensive lineman for the Gators now.
Hurst again, and this time he is taken down by another South Florida product, Darren Mickle, big number 92.
Mickle wants him to throw the ball.
Along with Huey Richardson.
David, Mickle wants him to throw the ball.
Yeah, he's got up another one.
Yeah, he's got 2 interceptions, I think. Look at this. Against the rush coming into this ball game, the Gators have only given up 84 yards per game, 224 total. And right now, Georgia has just a little over 100 yards in total offense. Hardly anything running the football. 12 yards running the football.
The Bulldogs have yet to convert a third down. And they are 0 for 9 now as the pass is incomplete and broken up by Monty Groh, the free safety.
Monty Groh doing an excellent job playing center field right there. That was Rodney McCoy, the split end, who Talley was trying to get the ball to. Another 3 and a punt.
Florida's defense had held up opponents to 26% third down conversions coming into today's game, and Georgia is 0 for 9 in that category.
0 for. It's one of those 0-fers. Whether you play baseball or basketball or football, you don't want to go 0 for.
I don't like those 0-fers. 8th Georgia punt of the afternoon now for Scott Armstrong. Who's going to need a masseuse for that right leg before this thing is over with. Another low driving kick. Barber watches it sail out of bounds and bonged right into the parabolic microphone down on the sideline. That's an interesting sound you don't hear too often.
That was good. That was a hell of a catch, wasn't it? Bong. Oh, now Albert Albert's getting carried away here. Of course, he did that pregame, too, so he's doing it with a little more moxie right now.
Taking care of those Georgia Bulldogs, and the football team has done its job in that regard. 1:45 left in the third period. It is 38-7 Florida. Matthews pouring on the yardage this afternoon against a depleted and very young Georgia defense. This is tailback Eric Rett. Mike Jones makes the tackle. Strong safety has been on a lot of plays.
Yeah, if you had your druthers, you'd rather have your team be dominated by fifth-year seniors and a complement of juniors and an occasional outstanding sophomore. But Georgia, for all the reasons you've mentioned earlier, has really been hurt this year and playing with a lot of freshmen and sophomores, at least 11 of them out of their starting 22.
Second down. Ran again, the ball carrier out to the 37. So the future, you would think, would be somewhat brighter for Georgia than it is right now. But also, you look at the University of Florida's football team as we take a look at the replay and the Gators' first down. And the Gators are also a relatively young squad.
Well, Kirkpatrick is going to be a big loss, obviously, but so many other of the skilled position players come back. Barber is lost, but
they lose Ernie Mills and Terrence Barber at the wide receiver position. Kirkpatrick the tight end. They'll lose Bromley at an offensive guard spot. But other than that, everybody's back on offense. Rett carries the football on first down. Time winding down in the third period. And on defense, the Gators will certainly miss Huey Richardson, the great All-American. Mark Murray has been an outstanding and solid player through the years. Godfrey Miles and Jerry Odom.
Yeah, Godfrey Miles.
Richard Fain, a terrific defensive back.
Excuse me, all 3 or 4 of those guys will be high draft choices, too.
Yeah.
Only Odom probably won't get the chance to play.
More great defensive stars from the Gator program into the NFL. We finished 3 periods from the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville. The Gators 38, the Bulldogs 7. We'll be back with quarter number 4 in a moment. You're watching Gator football on Sports Channel.
Gators have come into Jacksonville to play the Georgia Bulldogs a number of times with 7 wins, but have never been able to beat the Bulldogs. I was on a team in 1966 that came in here 7-0, was looking to win a Southeastern Conference championship and lost 27-12 to the Georgia Bulldogs. So maybe these guys out here will pull it off and win number 8.
Well, they got 15 more minutes to hold on, and with a 31-point lead, you got to like your odds at this point. And we're set to start the 4th and final period in this edition of this tremendous college football rivalry between the Gators and the Bulldogs. Kelvin Randolph has checked in at the fullback spot as Matthews play actions on first down. This is tight end Keller. Greg Keller with the reception.
Same play, different personnel. This is what Kirkpatrick has had so much success on, the little post route underneath the 2 deep safeties. Greg Keller, who will inherit that tight end position, 6'4", 223 sophomore. But look at the protection here Matthews has.
Keller will be a good tight end.
He's got good speed.
2 years left. Good size, good hands. Georgia coming up in the gaps, and Matthews is going to try and hit Harrison Houston, and the pass is incomplete. And there's your other player out of Pine Forest High School, Jim. Number 84 for the Florida Gators, Harrison Houston.
Yeah, Harrison Houston along with Marquette Oliver from Pensacola Pine Forest. Man for man in the secondary, and he checked off at the line of scrimmage trying to get Houston out there on the break to the sideline, but it was excellent coverage by George Wynn, who was right with Houston step for step.
Alonzo Sullivan is split wide at the bottom of your screen. On second down, the pitch to Randolph. The reverse to Sullivan. Former quarterback with good speed, runs out of bounds at the 29-yard line. He was a high school quarterback at Largo.
Looked like he
showed some good speed right there.
Excuse me, David. Looked like he was going to be tackled, but watch this move he makes after he gets the ball on the reverse. Now he's going to be hemmed in right here, but whoop, little shake and bake right by Carswell, number 27. You don't usually shake and bake by a cornerback too often. They'll shake and bake right back at you.
From the 29. Draw play, this time no go. As number 51, Travis Jones, the freshman linebacker, out of Irwinton, Georgia, made the tackle.
Looks like he shot in from his inside linebacker position there and had the gap. There was no free gap there for the tailback to run through on the draw. All the gaps were filled by Georgia Bulldogs, who
second down and short. The blitz is on. Simmons rushing. The pass deep for Everett. Overthrown in the end zone. Al Jackson covering, and Florida fans down in that corner thought maybe there was a little hanky-panky.
No, Al Jackson was definitely with him all the way. There was a little incidental contact, I think, with Everett. They were kind of bumping each other simultaneously. Looked like Everett might have tried to push away with his right hand, actually, and initiated the contact himself. Gators 4 of 11 on third down conversions, facing another one here right now.
Everett was slowed earlier by an injury, but the sophomore out of Washington, D.C. has come back, and he's going to be a fine talent for 2 more years with the orange and blue. Matthews' pass is batted down at the line of scrimmage. And a good defensive play made by big number 96, Bernard Williams. He is 6'9". Out of Memphis, Tennessee, another true freshman. And that is tough to throw over that.
Glenn Neely has him blocked nicely, but he just simply leaps in the air, knocks the ball away.
It's like taking the ball to the hole against Akeem Olajuwon. You're not going to shoot too many if you're 6-foot guard.
It's going to come back at you.
Krzyzewski punting for only the second time this afternoon. He sends it straight up the chute. Carswell calls for a fair catch, but Dexter Smith makes the catch at the 13-yard line, showing a good solid set of hands there. He lobbies for a spot on that wide receiver.
When it's 38-7, you could do that, but I think the coach would rather have him let the ball bounce.
13-19 left in the fourth period. It's all Florida from the Gator Bowl. This is Gator football on Sports Channel. Georgia just can't rush the ball, and they'll go back to the passing game. Joe Dupree is back in at quarterback, and the freshman shoots it out, and it is incomplete. Godfrey Miles covering the intended receiver, Rodney McCoy, sophomore out of Villarica. And you're looking at Dupree. Look at that Florida defense against the rush.
Unbelievable, huh? 2 yards in combination, both teams through the first part of the fourth quarter. And this the second game, Auburn, Georgia in combination. The Gators just shutting them out completely in the running game.
Dupree sprinting again, and here comes Bartley. Bartley blindsided him, and as the ball fumbled. Boy, Dupree has been hit twice now from the backside.
B. Bartley was one of the co-defensive players of the week in the Southeastern Conference last week because of this kind of action. Look at the speed. He's closing, boom. Just tremendous speed from the outside linebacker position. It's hard to believe the kid's 6'3" and 211. He doesn't look 6'3" at all. He's really lean and mean. There it is.
He'll be back next year.
He and Huey Richardson were co-defensive players of the week.
Bartley, a junior out of Fletcher High right here in Jacksonville. Dupree out of Southwest Macon High School. It probably wishes he was back there right now. Pitches the ball to Larry Ware. And the elusive Georgia running back scrambles out near the 15.
Well, that's the most productive running play of the day, but it came with 3rd and long, and it was inconsequential. Larry Ware really hasn't seen that much action this afternoon coming into this ball game, backing up Garrison Hurst.
Bartley got him first, and Murray and Brandon finished off the young Georgia ball carrier. Scott Armstrong has been one of the busier players on the field this afternoon. Not having a very productive day either. Gators have put on a brisk rush. And again, the Gators will have the ball near midfield with 11 minutes, 31 seconds to play in the fourth period. The Gators in a 38-7 lead over the Georgia Bulldogs from the Gator Bowl. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching Florida football on Sports Channel.
We're redoing the house, finally.
We need lots of things. New flooring.
Like Armstrong.
Definitely new paint.
Like Glidden. We know what we want. One place.
Come to Scotty's Fall Decorating Sale. Find what you're looking for without looking all over.
In one place.
See you at Scotty's.
I'll drive.
Sunny's makes it all just right. We put our best in every bite.
When you've got a taste for barbecue, Sunny's satisfies with every bite. Chicken, ribs, beef, or pork. Sunny's barbecue flavor is cooked right through, not just spread on. So every bite is barbecue at its best. Served just the way you like it, fast, and always with a smile.
So come to Sunny's Real Pit Barbecue for barbecue at its best.
'Cause everybody loves to eat at Sunny's. Barbecue at its best.
You're watching Florida Superstation, Wake Television, WAYQ, WAYK, Daytona Beach, Orlando, Melbourne.
So long. Good to know you. So long. See you next year. And that's what it's all about here. Bottom line figures right there in front of you. It's been all Florida in this football game. Eric Rett taken out of bounds at the 38-yard line by John Allen.
There's that counter play the Gators like to run where they pitch the ball to the tailback. He takes one step to the right, then comes back to the left, and the guys on the left side of the line of scrimmage try and hook their man inside, and Rhett's able to get outside a little bit there.
The Gators have a new quarterback, Brian Fox, who has played sparingly. Sophomore out of Winter Garden, West Orange High School in the Orlando area. Fumbles the snap, but picks it up and manages what could be a first down. It's going to be close. Fox began his collegiate career at Purdue and had a great freshman season at Purdue. Wanted to come home, though. Was not heavily recruited by the University of Florida. But he has been a welcome addition to the football team. Now it is going to be an official measurement. We thought Fox had come very close to the first down, and they're going to measure with 11:03 left. And the change coming over from the far side of the field. Gators on the verge of snapping a 3-game losing streak against the Georgia Bulldogs. Florida victory in 1986, a 31-19 win. There's Shane Matthews' numbers for the afternoon. Not a bad day's work for the sophomore out of Pascagoula, Mississippi. Those 3 touchdowns now give him 17 for the season. He has not thrown an interception today. And the Gator offense now in the hands of Brian Fox. Play action, and there is the first time that Georgia has gotten to the quarterback this afternoon, and Mike Jones, the strong safety, gets credit for the sack.
Brian Fox, never saw him line up on the line of scrimmage. He really needs to take a look at that defense before he gets the snap, and Jones comes from his blind side, but he had lined up there prior to the snap. Just inexperience on Fox's part, not being able to pick that up.
By the way, the Florida record for most touchdown passes in a season is held by John Reeves with 24. Matthews has 17 now. Pass to Eric Rett. And Rett Gets most of the lost yardage back, maybe a little bit more, into the 34-yard line. Chuck Carswell made the stop.
Rhett's going to make a juke along the line here, almost gets free. But what Fox has to do right now is think about picking up the needed yardage for the first down. It doesn't do any good to dump the ball out to somebody that's not going to pick up the first down. So he needs to throw the ball down the field at least 9 yards.
Georgia comes with a blitz, and Fox dumps the pass over the middle, and it is incomplete, intended for the tight end Charlie Dean. And a little late game frustration perhaps beginning to settle in some of these football players, especially the Georgia guys who have been out there for most of the afternoon. This defensive team has been on the field a lot of the time here. The Gators have had the football up around the midfield area, it seems like, on virtually every possession. They'll have to punt the ball on 4th down. Krzyzewski not with much of an average, but he hasn't needed to kick the ball deep. The only times he's punted have been in short punt situations. And now we have a timeout, or is that a delay of game? Just a delay of game. They let the clock run down and give them a little bit more room to try and kick the ball down inside the 10. Now Georgia.
Before the play, 25-second delay, 4th down.
Brings on its punt return team with 9:16 left in the 4th period. Gators led 24-7 at the half.
They're going to go after it. Try to put pressure on Krzyzewski.
Well, they certainly have nothing to lose. Krzyzewski gets it away. Looks like it's going to be a good kick if it comes back. It is nailed out of bounds, and they will spot it at the 6-yard line. So an effective kick again by Arden Krzyzewski. Gets the glad hand as he comes to the Florida sideline. And we will take timeout with 9:08 to play in the football game, and the Gators 38 and the Bulldogs 7. You're watching University of Florida Gator football on Sports Channel. One of about 40,000, I would guess, but I guess Steve Spurrier may be a little happier than most.
His coaching debut against the Georgia Bulldogs seems to be very successful.
Steve Spurrier won one game as a player against the University of Georgia. That was 1965. That would have been his junior season. Gators beat the Bulldogs 14-10.
Jack Harper, outstanding running back from Lakeland, Florida, was the hero catching a Steve Spurrier pass.
Handoff to the tailback, and Ware is knocked down near the line of scrimmage by Dexter Smith. Backup defensive tackle, the sophomore out of Wichita, Kansas. Philip Johnson, Michael Kerr, number 58 in the football game right now, is Coach Steve Spurrier giving a lot of backup players some action against the Georgia Bulldogs. 8 minutes left in the football game. Georgia faces its 11th third down conversion opportunity of the day. They're 0 for 10. Ware runs into Michael Kerr, and there's their first third down conversion of the day. And the Georgia fans that are still in the stadium offer some sarcastic applause for their football team. Let's check in with Steve Babick on the sideline.
Thanks, David and Jim. I've been dying to do this all season. Here's Arden Krzyzewski's helmet. Arden, obviously the place kicker and the punter. And collector's item. Jim Yarbrough, you might know about this kind of a bar. The one face bar, you know, it's good for vision, not good for tackling, though, or for protection. But I wanted to get it on camera one time. So collector's item right here. Let's go back upstairs.
Looked like Garrow's helmet there.
This is the quarterback, Dupree, showing some good speed to the outside, and he goes out of bounds at the 39-yard line. The Bulldogs have picked up back-to-back first downs. And first of all, their first third down conversion got things cranked up. 7:27 left.
Watch the end of this play. Gator coach Jerry Anderson's really going to take a beating here as he's getting
not able to pick that up. Ware flashing up the middle is dropped by Carlton Miles at the 45-yard line.
Well, next to that touchdown drive, this is their most effective drive of the afternoon. 2 first downs in succession. You look at Carlton Miles, who's one of the second teamers on that Gator defense, plays a lot inside linebacker position in rotation with Jerry Odom and Tim Paul.
Ware again running the football out near midfield. This time he's taken down by Michael Kerr and Ed Robinson.
3 straight first downs.
It's up on Mickle.
Larry Ware
First down,
gets
Georgia.
a little bit of a breather as Garrison Hurst checks back in the Georgia Bulldog backfield. Jerry Odom has been inserted back into the Gator lineup as Georgia threatens to push it into Florida territory. Nice pass and nice catch. And the Bulldogs are inside the 35 at about the 32. That was Sean Hummings with the reception.
Sean Hummings was the Georgia Bulldogs' primary receiver coming into this ball game, but he's not had much activity this afternoon. But this is an effective drive Georgia's put together here.
Freshman quarterback Joe Dupree runs the option and will keep the football and ran into Fee Bartley at the 28-yard line. That's good for about a 5 or 6 yard carry. Dupree had a lot of room to work with on the wide side of the field. Just kept moving those legs.
Run all the way. Doesn't even have a pitch opportunity as he's run right by his tailback. Garrison Hurst was supposed to be a pitch opportunity right there, but the quarterback just ran off and left him, and now we see a lot of the Gator defenders, first line defenders, back in the game.
They've come back in to try and keep Georgia out of the end zone. Garrison Hurst carries the football to the 25-yard line. 5:30 left in the 4th period. The Gators have a chance here to score their biggest victory ever in terms of margin over the Georgia Bulldogs. But if Georgia scores here, then they would have to score again to get their biggest win ever. 30 points is the biggest margin so far in the history of these 2 ball clubs in their series. Dupree on the option again. This time cuts it inside and gets to the 20-yard line. And another Georgia first down. Bulldogs move the football like this only one other time. That was back early in the game in the first half, when they went 96 yards after recovering a Florida fumble at the 4-yard line. 4:42 left. And the pass is deflected and then almost intercepted by Ephesians Bartley.
Mark Murray does an excellent job not going for the fake, maintains his containment responsibilities on Dupree, but the ball might have even been tipped. But look at Murray at the top of your screen doing a nice job of not letting the quarterback get outside. Then he just does touch the ball, and Bartley just can't come up with a catch. That's why these guys play defense.
But if he'd caught it, he would have been running a long time. Hand off to Ware, and Ware has stood up right at the line of scrimmage by Dexter Smith. On a couple of tackles already this afternoon.
Smith in substitution of Brad Culpepper, who was nursing some injury problems earlier in the ball game. Smith doing a really fine job at tackle, the young sophomore. Will Georgia score or not? That Gator defense is Wanted to shut him down again.
The Bulldogs are 2 for 12 in third down conversion. And that pass was almost intercepted. Tim Pauk almost got his second one of the afternoon.
And Georgia will probably go for this on 4th and long.
3 points is not going to make a whole heck of a lot of difference with 3:50 left in the game. Down by 31. So they'll have 4th down and 10. And if they do convert, it would be one of their longest plays from scrimmage all afternoon long. Going for the end zone, and this one is incomplete. Almost intercepted again, this time by Monty Grove.
I don't know what these defensive guys need to do to catch the ball, but 3 straight times it hit him in the hands, and Monty's saying, I can't believe I didn't catch it either. He had it all the way. Excellent job in the secondary by young Monty Grove there. Some happy Gators giving the defense a standing ovation.
You can follow the Florida Gators all season long, and coming up this week right here on Sports Channel, tune into the Gator Hotline with Florida football coach Steve Spurrier. And it's your chance to call in and talk with a head coach of the 8-1 Florida Gators. That's what they'll be after today. That's Thursday night at 6:30. Then on Saturday at 11:30 p.m., it's the Gators against the Kentucky Wildcats. And on Sunday at 12 noon, Florida football highlights with Steve Spurrier. Check local listings for availability in your area.
There we got Kyle Morris in the ball game now. Kyle 6 of 15 this year. He was the Gators starting quarterback the last 2 years. Was suspended for a while late last year. Really hurt himself and the team, but fortunately he wanted to come back and did come back, and now is an alternate at the quarterback position with Brian Fox backing up the starter, Shane Matthews.
Kyle played the first 6 games, started the first 6 games at quarterback before his suspension, and he completed 84 for 167 passes, just over 50%, 1,200 yards. He was interception prone. He threw 13 interceptions and just 3 touchdowns in the 6 games last year, and just did not fit what Steve Spurrier wanted in his starting quarterback, so he has slipped to the number 3 quarterback. But to his credit, I think you'd have to give a nod to Kyle Morris for keeping a positive attitude about what's happened in just a year's time with his football career. This is Kedra Malone, the third-team freshman tailback on the carry. Freshman out of Niceville, Florida. Kelvin Randolph and Kedra Malone in the backfield. This would be the best victory for Florida football with regard to the Auburn-Georgia series. Malone again, the ball carrier. Tracy Huzzy makes the tackle for the Georgia Bulldogs. We're inside of 3 minutes. And the Gators just basically trying to run out the clock right now. Playing it very conservatively. Lonzo Sullivan brings the play in from the Florida bench. Well, next week it's up to Lexington, Kentucky, and the University of Kentucky Wildcats, a team that beat this Georgia team by a 26-24 score just 2 weeks ago. But it's rather difficult to compare scores. If you did that, you'd be scratching your head over how Florida could lose to Tennessee by 43 points and have Auburn at Tennessee time.
In the neutral zone, violation, 5-yard penalty.
There's the call, and let's move down on the field to Steve Babick. Steve, go ahead.
I'm with recruiting coordinator Jim Goodman of the Gators, and obviously Jim last week and this week. That makes your job a lot easier, doesn't it?
It sure is, Steve. Certainly an exciting game today. It's our 9th game of the year and 6th game on national television. So all that helps in recruiting the players today.
And I know Jacksonville's such a big area for you. Having the game here at the Gator Bowl and a big victory helps out, too.
It sure does. It's a great crowd here. I think all the prospects around America can see the exciting Gator football and what Coach Steve Spurrier has done for our program. It's an exciting time for Gator football.
I know, obviously, you want to sell the university and the football team. You have a lot of tools to work with when you go sell the program, too.
We do, Steve. You know, when you got a great university academically like the University of Florida, that's the basis of all recruiting. If you can't fit their needs academically, you're not in the ballpark. Florida is one of the finest universities in America. With Steve Spurrier as head coach and our athletic facilities we have, well, we're on the verge of being as good as there is in America.
Okay, Jim, thanks for talking with us. Let's go back to David and Jim. And I guess Jim Goodman's job gets easier and easier as long as the Gators keep winning.
It doesn't hurt, Steve, that the ball club also now understands, realizes what its NCAA sanctions are all about. And any young man that's considering a future in college football can now take a look at the University of Florida football program and realize that as far as his career is concerned, there will be no problem with the NCAA. Live NBA action will continue coming up shortly on Sports Channel. And the Miami Heat taking on the Dallas Mavericks on Wednesday night at 7:30. Heat against the Pacers on Friday night. And then the world champion Pistons come to the arena on Tuesday night. Check your local listings for availability in your area. Gators with a 3rd down and 8. And Morris throwing it. Harrison Houston with the reception. And Houston steps out of bounds to the 27-yard line. Is his 3rd catch and his freshman season. That will not be enough for the 1st down for the first time today. It'll be a full kick by Arden Krzyzewski.
Yeah, he's just been pooching the ball, they call it, when he's been so close to the opponent's end zone, trying to knock the ball dead inside the 10 or so, but this time he can let it fly.
Krzyzewski doesn't have a very impressive number for the season, about, 35 yards per kick, but when you consider in the net punting, he's not done a bad job for the Gators. This one a good kick, and will roll dead at the 29-yard line. Georgia takes over at its own 29 with 1:49 left from the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, and another blowout type of football game for the Gators. They have had just one real cliffhanger this year, and that was early in the year in Tuscaloosa against Alabama. Every other game has been blowout city on one side or the other.
Yeah, even with the Tennessee game thrown in, the Gators' winning point margin over their opponents has been 20 points. Georgia, conversely, coming into this ball game, was averaging less per game than their opponents. But Florida, there was a 20-point spread between the Gators and their opponent, even adding in that Tennessee disaster.
Georgia will look forward to, or maybe that's not the right way to put it, they will next play the Auburn Tigers.
At Auburn, huh?
At Auburn, and then finish up, I believe, in Athens against Georgia Tech.
Of course, Auburn still has a chance to win the Southeastern Conference, so they'll really be coming after these Bulldogs.
There's the Gator Bowl after. This is the after picture. The before you probably saw about 3 hours ago when we went on the air. Look at all the empty seats in the red and black sections of the Gator Bowl. Joe Dupree, the freshman quarterback, rolling out, and he'll keep the football across the 40 and out of bounds at the 42-yard line.
Come on, dude.
Marquette Oliver on the tackle. That's a pretty picture.
No comment. Get yourself in a whole lot of trouble right there. .140 left. Dupree. And what happened there? Here comes a penalty flag. That ball came flying out of the front wall like a missile, and then the flag came in quickly too.
I think Georgia had some offensive linemen downfield too. Looked like they were running pass routes. See what they call here. Yeah, they're talking to the Gators.
It's going to go against Georgia.
Offensive face mask, be 15 yards, still be 1st down.
You know, that's the second time we've seen that call today. You don't see an offensive face mask once in a blue moon, and we've seen it twice by Georgia this afternoon.
Well, it depends on how desperate you are. When you're blocking the opponent, if you're real desperate, the last thing you grab is that face mask.
It's looking like Tennessee or Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl, with the Gators ineligible, that being the one sanction that really hurts this football program. Garrison Hurst on the corner. Jimmy Spencer hit him, and then he's taken out of bounds by Monty Grove.
Yeah, Spencer couldn't knock him down. Hurst, the outstanding freshman, continued to bounce outside. Finally, Monty Grove caught up with him. First loss ever for Ray Goff as a player. He was 3-0 against the Gators. As a head coach last year, he won the game 17-10. He's keeping his head up as well he should.
Well, these are going to be tough times for him at Georgia. Long passes incomplete. If there's any place outside of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in the southeast, where there is really intense pressure on the head coach to be successful, and Georgia might be right up there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any pressure at LSU or Tennessee.
Well, there's pressure there, no question about that. But Georgia with Vince Dooley, they won for so many years and were so good.
You know, Vince Dooley was overlooked because of the shadow of Bear Bryant, but Vince Dooley was a giant in college coaching.
Garrison Hurst out across the 35 to about the 37. Only 1:10 left. And Georgia will have to punt the ball again. Time running on down. Nobody will stop the clock here. We're inside of 1 minute. And this is a very happy time for the Gator football team. Most of these players have not experienced a win over Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia had won 3 straight games coming into this one.
Only the redshirt seniors would have been involved, and they wouldn't have been on the field.
In, what, 86, was it?
Right. Kirkpatrick is one who was there then, but he was a redshirt. Scott Armstrong kicks another low driving punt, getting a Georgia roll, and inside to 25. And a late penalty flag goes down as Monty Duncan and Georgia's Dwayne Grace get into a little verbal and physical contact. 23 seconds left. The Gators will snap the football one time, and then that should be it. With Kentucky and Florida State left on the Gator football schedule, the goal now, obviously, is to finish as high as possible in the national ranking.
Dead ball foul, personal foul against the kicking team. Be first down and 10.
Play of frustration by Georgia.
Yeah, there were no bowl scouts at this game today. Georgia with being 4-4 and having a rather mediocre year, and the Gators under probation, not allowed to postseason play. 48-7 and 38-7. That's a Gators dream.
86-14 combined. Kedra Malone tripped up at the 43-yard line. And that will be the final play of the football game. The clock winds down, and Steve Spurrier moves toward midfield to shake hands with Georgia head coach Ray Goff. Spurrier is a winner in the first meeting between these two head coaches, and in a big way in Jacksonville. Back-to-back over Auburn and Georgia. And the Gators, very impressive, show their number 10 ranking is not any kind of a fluke, and this football team may be late in the year, Jim, about as good as anybody.
A lot of good teams in college football, and certainly the Florida Gators as good as any.
We'll be back with the final word in just a moment. This is Gator Football on Sports Channel.